please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, motherfucker, by peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Right there's better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There's a lot going on today. There's too much going on, I would argue. David hates when I say this to start any show. There is, I would say, it's an unprecedented degree of substitute teacher vibes going on in the studio today. Chris Cody's dancing.
Feels good, man.
Does it feel good?
It feels good to have you guys here. It does feel like substitute teacher vibes, but a good substitute teacher. Not one of those ones that just puts on a film. Someone that makes me think. And I leave that day saying, that person deserves their own. That should be a full-time teacher. That should not be a substitute teacher. I've never had that thought about a sub. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I'm with Chris. I woke up in a good mood today. I was excited to come into work. Yeah. That probably doesn't speak well to how I wake up other mornings.
Jess and I saw each other in the parking lot, and we literally skipped in together.
It's one of those things where, like, everybody feels like they're like at Six Flags. Everybody's in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. They seem to be. I'm watching Stugotz post pictures with Mina at like a sandwich shop somewhere, getting a po' boy together. And our task here, David, is to have more fun than them. That is our challenge.
That's going to be an easy hurdle. That's sort of like the hurdle when you started PTFO, right on the ground. I just want to get right over the bar on the ground.
That is what I said.
I'm already over that. I'm not jealous. I'm happy to be here in Florida with you. And Jeremy and Jessica and Chris.
What do you guys think about maybe tomorrow we get like a New Orleans-style band to just be out there?
Yes.
So that we feel like we're, what we're missing, we get. All right.
When Amin by the way, Amin isn't here. Amin's supposed to be here. Amin is coming.
He was on the list.
He's coming in from the airport. Amin has the craziest life, I think, of anybody who does this show. He commutes across the country all of the time.
Thank you, Amin. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Amin.
Just hard worker. We appreciate you.
I don't think you can cut it that close.
Well, he has beyond cut it. He is not here.
True. It's not cutting close. He's late.
And so I want to get into the NBA stuff because last night I was at dinner with David. We were wearing bibs at Joe's Stone Crab, which if you've never seen David Samson get bibbed, it is a sight to see. He walks in. I mean, Joe's. Can I just, Chris? You've been to Joe's Stone Crab. Do we need to explain what Joe's Stone Crab is to people?
It's pretty self-explanatory title-wise, I think.
A stone crab place owned by Joe?
Yeah, right.
It's not exactly that, but it's a good place to start.
It kind of is.
I think it's the most profitable restaurant in America, one of them.
It's the sort of place where you walk in with David Samson, and they immediately come up and say, "Mr. Samson, it's so good to have you back." He is greeted. You were greeted by everybody we saw. I'm not exaggerating.
You must hate that. How many hands did you shake? Did you sanitize right after?
There were a few hugs.
There were actual
fist bumps?
full body hugs.
Are these fist bumps and handshakes happening while eating the crab?
No, you can't do anything once the stone crabs come, that's it.
Do you crack your own claws because you don't want them to touch your crab claws?
No, they
before
come.
You eat them?
They come pre-cracked.
I know, but
pay extra for that.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. You'd get too many cuts on your hands.
You don't ask for like the cracker yourself.
It's a good question by Jeff.
Joe's Stone Crab is the perfect place to avoid these kind of interactions because you can always just have the doctor hands of like I got crab hands, man. Can't fist bump, can't do anything. We'll talk later.
There was a lot of that, a lot of the hands up, a lot of extra napkins, a lot of me clearing the table so there's room for all of the stuff. While Pablo just sort of sits there oblivious. Eating dinner with Pablo is an interesting thing in that your level of oblivion, other than focusing on your social media, is quite interesting.
Other than focusing on my social media. What does that mean?
It means you're setting up pictures and you're posting and you're doing things while we're supposed to be focused and getting work done, and you're focused on what your next post is.
I went to dinner, and David went to work. That's a you problem, buddy.
Do we have a picture of David in this bib?
Oh, yeah. You can pull it off of my, speaking of which, at PS Torre on Instagram. It's currently on my, there it is. I blacked out. I put a bar over the waiter's eyes for privacy reasons, but you could see what the vibe is.
Because you think he wouldn't want to be in a photo with me?
I just can't be sure.
You didn't get permission?
I did not get permission. But look at the glee.
It's a happy place. You didn't blur out the people in the background.
I think it's fine.
They are not on social media.
They're right there.
We ate at 5 p.m. and none of those people are scrolling through my Instagram feed.
I've never been happier that someone's wearing a bib. Good God, that shirt.
It's a great shirt. Don't you yuck on a Robert Graham yum. That would be inappropriate.
Can you guys Google Robert Graham for me and explain who this person is? Because I've never heard that name before in my life. Thank you.
I enjoyed going to dinner. I enjoy being in Miami. I don't feel like we're the substitutes.
I know,
feel
you
like-
always try to say that. And I'm like, dude, we're rolling out the AV cart. This is what we do.
I'm not.
Embrace it.
I've got 20 things that I think that would be interesting to discuss and that Dan would be proud that we're discussing. And you want to focus on your social media.
Well,
And not being upset with Amin.
I do want to bring us into what I was doing at dinner, because what I was doing while on my cell phone was actually doing a bit of reporting. That's what I do. I find stuff out. There's supposed to be a Kevin Durant trade happening, and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm not alone in saying this. Jeremy, the internet has been ablaze. Basically, everybody who's even tangentially involved with the NBA has been hinting, without reporting, Kevin Durant's about to be traded. And they're supposed to be, in my understanding, to be even more irresponsible, like a 3-team deal involving some major franchises. So what is the latest? What is the internet telling everybody?
Yeah, some of the latest reporting is insinuating that there could be a 3-team deal between the Heat, the Warriors, and the Suns that lands Jimmy Butler in Phoenix and Kevin Durant back with the Golden State Warriors. I'm intrigued to see how and why the Suns would make that move given the circumstances. To me, the only logical explanation for moving Durant and bringing in Butler is if Booker genuinely wants to stick around for the long term and you're trying to extend a window with another competitive veteran wing. But you're a bad team right now if you're Phoenix. So acquiring Jimmy to then extend him, given the timelines, it might not make sense. They might even be welcoming him in with the idea of clearing out cap space in the offseason and tearing the whole thing down.
Jeremy, there's one thing that you're missing in this analysis is that what Pablo was really saying is he was at the restaurant reading his phone, getting what he thought was inside information that we may have to leave dinner at any time, mid-claw, that this trade was imminent, definitely happening, and that he had somehow this connection. My guy's never wrong.
I have a guy.
He has a guy.
I have a guy.
He wakes up this morning, and it turns out the guy is not the guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah, Jeremy has the same guy, it turns out.
Apparently, that guy is waiting till 3 p.m. tomorrow just like every other guy. And you were offended to be so normal and out of the loop.
Can I clarify with Jeremy, though? Who are the Heat supposed to get in this?
I believe the Heat would be landing a combination
Wiggins.
of Andrew Wiggins and picks and other
that's
salary
what I had
filler.
heard from my guy. Which is funny. Look, I want to talk about ownership, though, because we just referenced just now the Phoenix Suns and their owner, Matt Ishbia. Like, what is he doing? I was hoping Amin would be here for this, but we can pick it up when he's also around. I think that the media in general, the way we talk about the Luka Doncic thing, is very backwards. I think it's remarkable how much we've missed the forest and the trees. This is a story about ownership. Nico Harrison has gone from a guy, speaking of guys, I've never seen a guy go from 0 to 1 million in terms of nobody knows who he is to everybody has a developed opinion. And we have talked so much about the strategy and the architecture of the trade. Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka saying that Nico Harrison was basically in private conversations with him. They've known each other for years through Nike, and they've had to keep this secret, and they made it happen. David, this is a decision that must originate with the people who own the Dallas Mavericks.
100%.
And I don't think people even know largely that Mark Cuban no longer owns the Dallas Mavericks. And it infuriates me because I did an episode about who does own the Dallas Mavericks, obviously, Miriam Adelson and her son-in-law, Patrick Dumont.
Where can we find that episode?
Pablo Torre finds out. It's available on YouTube. We have 99,200 subscribers. Come be our 100,000th.
What do you get for that?
You get a plaque. You literally get a plaque.
Are you going to give someone a plaque?
I mean,
for being there the 100th?
No. I'm going to get a plaque.
Oh, so you just want people to join?
Yeah.
Show?
I mean, I'll send them a photo of the plaque.
Pablo thing, isn't it?
I digress. The point is, this is an ownership story, and it's less so a GM story, as much as the GM story is colorful and funny and amazing. But I just think you must follow the money here, and the money is a very clear. It's the plot, not the subplot.
So the money with the trade, I don't agree. I think you have to focus on the truth that Nico was not alone. There is a report this morning that J.J. Redick knew about the trade during the Knicks game, before the Knicks game, and that he was super excited and he was in a great mood and all happy, which would track that the coaches would know, while Jason Kidd sat there pretending I had no idea, looking like someone stole his lunch money.
That's my favorite part of this whole thing, just how awkward he looked during that press conference.
Wasn't that amazing? Do we have a photo of Jason Kidd? Is there anything worse than being forced to go to a press conference and having to be the... What's the word for when you're not in the know? The straight man?
I think the long term is the time frame.
I was joking yesterday that do you think he tried to get out of that press conference? Do you think he was just like, you got this, right, Nico?
100%.
I got a call, and he's just like, no, I think we should be aligned on this. Come on up. And he's just like, oh, all right, I'll go up there.
We staff press conferences in advance. You say who's going to be up there. And if someone makes a big issue, if a player makes a big issue or the GM, you can get the AGM, but you need someone from the baseball front office to take the heat off you as having made the decision. And I don't know why Nico would bring him up there just to say that he's been neutered. It made no sense to me.
Well,
I'm not buying it.
Look at that face.
It's the theater of all of it, right? Look, and again, do I buy that LeBron didn't know about this? Do I buy that... Clutch was not involved when they represent LeBron and Anthony Davis in this, and they wouldn't have shared information. I don't buy any of that, obviously. But the owner story, this is a multi-billion-dollar franchise at the center of which is this kid, is this 25-year-old. And Nico Harrison does not have the power unilaterally to be like, I have an idea. This has to come from the people who own and bought the team.
No, the idea can come from the GM, but it has to get approved by the owner.
But my point is, the idea can't go anywhere
without the owner,
unless the person who pays the bills is like, yes. And so, to your point, though, I want to acknowledge the best case scenario for this story in terms of what were the Adelsons sort of aware of. It's that they didn't care, right? The question of how mad should you be as a Mavs fan at the owners of your team, the most generous interpretation of the order of events here is that they didn't care when Nico Harrison was like, I have an idea. They said, whatever, go do it. Like, we're not going to spend a ton of time thinking about this. That's the most generous interpretation.
That's awesome. That's no meddling. Isn't that what you guys want from your owners? Letting the basketball and baseball people make the decision. You always complain about that. The owners are too involved.
I mean, I think you just want whoever doesn't suck at it to do it.
Make good decisions. I don't really care who does it.
So you can meddle if you're good, but don't meddle
David,
if you're bad?
I think we've drawn the line. It's the Mendoza line exists in baseball. This is the Luka Doncic line. If your GM comes to you and says, I'm going to trade Luka Doncic right now, I just want the owner to say, that's an insanely stupid idea. That's all I want them to do. They don't have to do more than that.
Which is probably what Mark Cuban would have done.
So the Mark Cuban part of this is funny.
That's my favorite part of this whole story is the Mark Cuban part.
So refresh our memory, David, because you were out ahead on this. Truly, when it came to Mark Cuban
crushed,
selling to Miriam Adelson and Patrick
Dan
Dumont.
And all of you in there in that room crushing me. When I told you that Mark Cuban, when he sold the team, was done, and Mark Cuban was coming out and saying, oh, I'm still the head of basketball. I'm still maintaining my power. And I said, of course not. He sold the team. He's not the governor. He's not the alternate governor. He's nobody. He's nothing. He's sold. But Mark Cuban made us all believe that he's involved until the Luka deal. And then he said, oi, I better let people know I got nothing to do with this. So he basically changed his story.
You also said A.J. Brown would never play for the Eagles again.
I didn't say I got everything right.
Didn't you say you trade Mike Evans too?
I just want to be clear, Jessica, and I'm happy to go at this right now at 9:14.
I don't remember crushing you for Mark Cuban takes.
Are you right in everything you say every time you say it? I just want to establish that. So that's a stupid threshold to even talk about. But the fact about Mark Cuban is simple
the
to
Samson
me.
line.
It's the Samson line is we're all going to be wrong if you're willing to take a position. Even you, Pablo.
I disagree.
Well, that's exactly. That's you being you, but you're not right all the time. For Mark Cuban,
I'm trying to set David up for a victory lap, and he's somehow turning it into a parade of defeats.
I don't want to take a victory lap. I want to explain the way it works when you sell a team is you don't get power. And Mark Cuban trying to mislead all of you bothered me greatly. And now the fact that he needed to separate himself from the Luka deal
legitimately
is
funny.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Like he's been waiting. It's not been a month since he sold the team.
This is a story about the theater of power. Who actually has it, who pretends like they have it, who performs it. Nico Harrison is the greatest gift to Miriam Adelson. Not because he got Luka Doncic out of there, because everybody is simply talking about his incompetence. It's the thing with Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell's great value to NFL ownership is that he is the meat shield. You criticize him and his weird press conferences, and you do so less so now, obviously, by the way, a separate story. But the whole point is, look over there at the guy we put on camera at the presser next to Jason Kidd. Don't look at the people who actually had the power to make this deal happen. It's an incredible gift we've given to a person, by the way, Miriam Adelson, just for the record here, was Trump's biggest donor in 2020. These are just facts, right? I'm not going to present them with any sort of editorializing. Just facts about who she is.
You can say that that's bad.
I just want to point out that she was Trump's biggest donor in 2020. She is a super donor to the Republican Party in its most mutated state. Mutated also feels objective at this point. And she is the architect, quietly, of Trump's whole policy in the Middle East, which, by the way, happens to be relevant certainly right now and yesterday.
Today.
She has been all over the biggest story in sports and the biggest story in politics at the same time, and nobody is really talking about her. And that is an amazing bit of theater for us to miss.
I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to talk about it with all of you because it is true, and this happened. Her husband really started this with her, and when he passed away, she took the mantle.
Why is this more of an owner trade than any trade? Because by your lot, like, isn't every trade go through to the owner's desk? And it's like, I don't know what's the difference here between every trade.
It's a great question. To me, David, the reason I love that David is here, by the way, great question, Chris. It's because.
Thank you, everyone. It's so rare.
That's so rare.
When it comes to meat shields, and when it comes to people, executives running a team who must be trotted out there to be deeply unpopular in front of the press, to cover for the owner of the team, I present to you David Samson.
It was my job for 18 years.
Why'd you sign Heath Bell?
I mean, those were questions that were asked of me that you all blamed me for doing, and that was my job. It is Nico Harrison's job. Have you ever noticed you don't see owners at the firing press conferences? You see them at the hiring press conferences. That is a very common thing that owners think people don't notice. They send out the president or the GM when you're making a move or an unpopular trade, but then when it's a huge free agent signing, then the owner comes out. And so I think that it's important to know that one of the privileges of ownership is that you get to decide when you have your meat shield out and when you don't. But Adelson, as you know, you keep calling her the owner of the Mavericks.
Clarify.
You should clarify that it is her son-in-law who is the actual governor, the actual owner of the Mavericks, because she would not be approved by the NBA.
So this is something that we reported, and Pablo Torre finds out, that the NBA called me to push back on immediately. The concern had been Miriam Adelson, if you Google her, is so toxic that the NBA said we need a meat shield for her. And that ended up being, reportedly, according to our reporting, Patrick Dumont.
Well, that's a fact. That's not a report. He is the principal owner. He's the governor of the Mavericks.
But an anonymous guy who is her son-in-law, who is, in fact, the governor, who shows up at the meetings, and it's not Miriam. And all of this, again, is it a distinction without a difference? We can argue about that. Where the money comes from seems to be the most relevant thing, as always.
Her.
As I've been told many times, the answer to all of your questions is money. We should probably think about that. But to Chris's question specifically, like, what's different about this? Why is this an owner thing? It's because it's Luka bleeping Doncic. He's 25 years old. He is all of the superlatives we've all been saying. 5-time All-NBA, 5 years running, made the NBA Finals, blah, 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 blah. David.
If Popovich traded Wemby, Would Popovich get crushed like this?
Yeah, I mean,
he would.
Yes.
So Popovich hasn't earned the right.
If he traded him for a 32-year-old, I think everyone would be like, "What did they just do?" That
If Popovich traded Wemby at all, yes, I would say that the immediate reaction
People would have
be,
felt that way about if you traded him for Luka Doncic. Like, that's the air that Wemby is in at the moment, considering his age and impact on the game.
I think we're like, the reason why this is also not just an owner thing, it's a GM thing, is because of how bad the haul was for Luka Doncic. That's where it's like, even if this is an owner thing, the GM's job is to like make those transactions make sense, and it just still doesn't really make a lot of sense.
This leads perfectly into my favorite conspiracy theory that I have seen about all of this, which you guys will enjoy because it involves ownership and manipulating politicians. So, the theory that I believe stemmed from a Facebook post is that's where it starts. I'm couching it with that from the beginning. All good theories begin with a Facebook post. Is that the ownership group for the Mavericks wants to have gambling legal in Texas. And in turn, they want to use the threat of moving the Mavericks to Vegas to influence the state legislature to pass legalized gambling in the state of Texas. And the only way that by 2026 they could logically threaten to move to Vegas is if they get the NBA to approve it. If they're a thriving franchise with a young superstar in Dallas, the NBA would never approve the Dallas Mavericks moving to Vegas. But if by then this core group has come and gone, and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving hasn't worked out, they can sell off the team, hit rock bottom, and potentially threaten to move to Vegas. And this is a perfect time for Amin to arrive.
I was going to say, so I want to laugh at this and pick it apart, and luckily Amin Elhassan has just arrived, the guy who just interviewed, I believe, the originator of the Facebook post in question.
That's right. That's right.
Do you buy it? Do you buy the theory?
Well, first of all, the guy's very clear. He's a lawyer. He's just a Mavs fan who's a lawyer. And he makes it very clear, like, there's no sourcing on this. He's just connecting dots. It is true that the Adelson family purchased the Mavericks with the intent of getting gambling legalized in Texas and having this vast territory, the largest population of non-gambling people because it's not available to them in the United States. But, upwards of 20 million people in the state of Texas. That's true. They didn't want it to get legalized. That's true. When they build the new building, the new arena, they want a casino.
They're casino magnates, the Adelsons, right? Macau, the Sands.
They're mostly in Asia now.
In Asia.
Yes. I mean, so there's so many things that
I don't know what
Jeremy, ridiculous.
I don't know what Jeremy said. I'll just tell you.
His theory.
Jeremy just summarized
the Facebook.
Okay, so because
at least I think I did.
Can we get a slow motion replay of what just happened?
I don't want to ever relive that. Remember. Okay, here's another connection. Remember when Josh Harris, owner of the Commanders, also owner of the Sixers, went on Monday Night Football and was there with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, and he thought that something happening was a high five invitation, and then he grabbed the hand of, I believe, Joe Buck.
Yep.
That's just what happened with me and Samson.
That was terrible.
I was not trying to high five you.
I thought you were.
Proceed, Amin.
Chris Cradaville is the guy's name, is this lawyer's name. So, as I said, that's correct. They do want to legalize gambling in Texas. They do want the new arena that they're going to build to have a casino attached. They already have the land. The land is in Irving, Texas, near the site of the old Cowboy Stadium. So that stuff is all true. The part where it's like, and this deal was to is the stick because the carrot didn't work in legislature. I don't know. He says it's his theory too. Like, he's not saying, oh, I know, I got the inside scoop. And I think that's very important to point out as people like to take things and run with it.
Yes.
Legalizing gambling in Texas is not in any way correlated to Luka being on the Mavericks or not. It's just that is when they are deciding where to legalize gambling, when you're lobbying, whether you're DraftKings or anyone else lobbying for legal gambling, you are not focused on who is actually on the team in the state or city where you are going.
But even bigger picture, right, when it comes to what the NBA's financial interests here, it is interesting to consider that, right? If you're Adam Silver, the question has arrived. Should he veto this deal? Should he have vetoed this deal? And just purely cynically, purely following the money, this is a good deal for Adam Silver to have happen in his league, is it not? From a pure, like, Luka, go to the Lakers. Lakers have a whole decade of runway of your next all-time player. Dallas, you'll figure it out. Like, that feels like a cost benefit that Adam Silver, in his heart of hearts, would approve of.
Can I be unfun today? I hate this talk.
Someone's got to do
it. We started the show by saying we have to be more fun than people in New Orleans, and Amin is immediately saying.
Well, I mean, we're taking it down. This is what it gives me headaches, right? It starts with the question.
I'm picturing Dan watching, like, finally someone's bringing it down.
What are you doing over there with your hands?
That's what Dan's doing. I'm not
rubbing his nipples.
Oh. So, yeah, this idea that Silver should veto it like Stern did, the Chris Paul. That's not how this works. Chris Paul deal was vetoed by David Stern, not as commissioner of the NBA because it's unfair. It was vetoed because he was the de facto governor of the New Orleans franchise at the time because the guy who owned it ran out of money. And he's like, I can't run a team anymore. Who wants it? It's like the bank foreclosing on the team. And so Stern was like, I'm the governor. And they bring him this deal. And the deal, by the way, was to get like Pau Gasol and a couple of other middling players. And Stern looked at it and said, we're better off being terrible and trying our luck in the lottery. And so he vetoes the deal as the de facto governor. The deal doesn't go through. They do a different deal that brings them the type of players that will bring their value down, their competitive value down on the floor. They're terrible. Guess what they got? That following lottery, the number 1 overall pick, who was Anthony Davis. Totally the right move for the Pelicans franchise. But everyone's like, he did it because they were going to help the Lakers.
So wait, hold on.
People do that?
They do that all the time.
That?
They do that.
I never
with
do
that voice.
That's weird.
You never say that. You never say that the league vetoed the deal because it would have been bad.
Well, the league used to run the Expos, and there were a bunch of deals done by Omer Minai as the GM of the Expos.
Remind us why Major League Baseball was running the Expos.
Because we sold the Expos to Major League Baseball so they could run the Expos and move them to Washington and become the Washington Nationals. And so we could get the Marlins, and so John Henry could sell the Marlins and move to Boston because the trust that owned the Red Sox wanted to cash out, and baseball wanted to make sure that John Henry got them.
It's a three-way deal, basically.
It was a three.
You guys acquired the Marlins, he acquires the Red Sox, and then Washington acquires the Expos.
It was a three-way deal. And there were a lot of trades that were done. If you go back and look at Expos transactions after 2002, and there was a lot of talk that they should be vetoed by Selig, and he would not veto them. And so the Expos made a bunch of bad trades.
What is the verdict that you have of how Major League Baseball was at running the Expos?
Great. They put in a guy named Tony Tavares to be the president. They had a GM named Omar Minaya, who some of you may know
Mets.
from his days with the Mets. And they ran it knowing that they were trying to cut expenses, didn't care about revenue, didn't care about attendance, didn't really...
Well, now it's sounding worse.
No, but that wasn't their job.
Well, so this is why I bring it up, though. It's because Amin is... I love Amin's retrospective, his revisiting of how good a GM was David Stern, actually.
Not a GM. How good of an owner? He's a governor.
But I'm saying this because ownership and decision making, when it comes to when the league is taking over teams, kind of hard to disentangle because the incentives for the decisions you make are different now, right? It's different.
Sure, but the decision he made was the best decision for the franchise. That wasn't because the best decision for the league would have been send Chris Paul to Kobe Bryant, send him to LA, get him out of the 30th largest market in the league, send him to the number 2 market, send him to the marquee. All of the financial incentives were there for them to do that. And he didn't because that wasn't what was best for the organization.
Listen, the only thing David Stern would do was sticky envelopes. I mean, that's really the extent of his involvement.
It's frozen is what they accused him of.
Nobody sticky envelopes? Pat Ewing?
It was
frozen.
It's frozen. Come on,
Why
we
are
all
you
know
making
that.
it sticky?
David, as always, we are 100% right when we disagree with you specifically.
I thought it was a sticky envelope.
Frozen envelope.
What is a frozen envelope?
They
It was
put it in the
cold.
freezer. It was cold, so when he reaches in to pick the envelope,
can just
the
feel
cold one
the
is the one he
temperature.
pills.
And is that now? Did you find out that that's officially what happened?
No. That has been for a long time the dominant theory,
but never confirmed.
But what sticky substance do you have on the envelope?
I thought that it was stuck to the, and when my video surveillance showed that when they twisted the ball with the envelopes, that the Knicks one stayed at the bottom and didn't twist like the others.
No, it was a frozen envelope. That was the theory. By the way, the May 11th, 2022 episode of Basketball Illuminati, we tackled this. Episode 13, we had Patrick Hruby, who did a very exhaustive,
yes, for ESPN.
Yeah, deep dive into all of the conspiracy theories surrounding that draft. So,
but to that point, right, as somebody who is also the voice on Basketball Illuminati at the beginning,
yes,
quoting a story that I'd written about why the NBA is the league most riven with conspiracy, it's because of stuff like this. It's because there is just enough plausibility for these things to take root. But I want to disentangle, like, what is conspiracy and what is actually just business, David?
Having Ewing on the Knicks is just business. They need, and it's funny, you have a league now where the Knicks have not been able to perform in a couple decades. The NFL is a league where the Cowboys, people laugh. I did this on Nothing Personal today. If the NFL were scripted, the Cowboys would be in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl way more than they are. And the Giants and Jets would not be as bad as they've been for a long time. You wouldn't script it without the Cowboys. It's all horse hockey.
Look, but I'm not trying to relitigate the frozen envelope. What I'm trying to get back to, though, is this Luka thing, which Anthony Davis, by the way, via Amin story, has brought us back to.
Full circle, right? So we get to, how could this deal happen? Why didn't Adam Silver do anything? Number one, if there were going to be a commissioner who would play God, it's not Adam Silver. David Stern, maybe.
I agree.
Adam Silver is like, well, it seems like they really like the deal, and then that's it.
So mean.
I kind of wish
you're doing his voice that way.
Well,
I
that's
kind of wish he would play God
It's just
more.
a means thing.
But David, it's more about his energy. He doesn't sound like that at all, but the energy is very like meek, whatever you guys like. And David Stern would walk in the room and tell you, every one of you go F yourselves. I'm in charge.
Because Stern was an A-Rod.
David
Adam Silver is way better liked, just as powerful.
Let me. No, he's not. He's not A-Rod. He's not A-Rod.
I meant to say it, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh, you could say jackhole. You could say jackhole.
Oh,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Could have said a million other things.
Could have just said asshole, because then you
He
just
did.
said asshole.
He actually did. Yeah.
And
Also-
it's well liked, not better liked.
Thank you.
That's my EP. That's my EP.
Guys, we're crushing this today.
We're having
It's been
so much fun.
It's been informative. Chris Cody having the show of his life so
Let's watch
far,
a movie.
asking good questions.
Nibbles have been rubbed, and it's like 9:30.
Nipples.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Nibbles.
Nibbles?
That's
All right,
fine.
put that replay up of the awkward back and forth.
I don't
right
think
there.
we need to do
There's no
that.
audio. It's just you guys. Like, what is here? David's going for a high five.
Oh, Lord.
Let's not show that again.
Oh, man.
I didn't know what to do.
To the listening audience, Pablo is just making the point of like David said, and he
Yes.
holds his hand out.
Pablo's like, David's like, ooh, high five.
David looked at it as like an opportunity to make connection.
I thought there was a connection. I thought we were having a moment.
Can you pull the video from the last time David and I were here where he tried to dap up Domonique? That's in the archive somewhere.
Wow.
That's on the.
We'll get that.
That's
Okay.
actually my intro to Nothing Personal. It's every day we show it, and the audience loves that. When I jump into his arms, that's part of our 30-second intro.
Is there like
well,
a
I knew that.
playlist of awkward interactions with David Samson?
They're efforting it, I'm told.
There should
in my
be now.
ear.
It'll never be
1, 2, 3,
Dan
Brett.
with
Josh Norman?
Josh Norman.
Oh my
That's
God.
gonna always the gold standard.
Ugh.
Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Josh-
You have not seen this?
No,
it's
is it awesome?
It's security camera footage of the Clevelander bar. And Josh Norman walks in, and there is Dan. And somehow, Dan is basically like grinding on the back of Josh Norman. It's an incredible.
What starts as like just kind of a normal embrace, Dan like pulls him and like they like take like 3 steps back. It was so awkward.
And what?
Pulls him from behind?
Yes.
Wait, hold on a second. You're telling me Dan was awkward? I have to see this.
Pablo picked up on this the best. The best part of the video isn't what happens. It's that it's not like shot. There it is. It's shot with grainy security camera. It's like TMZ
the
video.
Clevelander.
All right, they embrace.
Oh,
and Dan
oh,
like,
wait.
he
Oh.
pulls him. me.
Oh. Wait, that didn't seem awkward.
See how?
David.
What are you talking
Play
about?
the game, David.
By the way, and look at the guy in the black shirt over there. His awkward and like kind of he scratches his head like, oh my god. Yeah, look at him.
It's
Look at
just
him.
like, he pulls him in. Look at
him. He
Josh
looks at that.
Allen,
He's like,
it's the
"Oh,
slow dance.
crap.
It's the slow dance. Admittedly, in my mind, it was even worse. Over time, I have reimagined this.
It's the step and a half back he takes with him. Like, come on.
Arm around his neck and then pulling him.
It's the slight pull.
Wow, that was. Jessica, are you as disappointed as I am in that video?
It's pretty awkward. And if you know Dan, you just know why it's awkward.
No, but he's called it the most awkward thing ever.
Yeah, what you just did with Pablo was more awkward.
I agree.
With that.
New
All right,
gold
here we
standard.
go. Here's David and Domonique.
Oh yeah,
Let's see if this is worse.
We had
The dance. What is that
The dance.
Forgot about the Euro step.
Oh my. Okay, you know what? This takes the cake.
I would put this under cringe, not awkward, though.
Oh my god.
Just like,
What is
He's
this
Euro
dance?
stepping to the basket.
I don't remember what we were doing or why we were doing
We
it.
had to
It
do
was a
DAP
Euro
class.
step.
We did DAP class, and I don't think you passed.
Amazing when everything is on camera
This little shuffle right here.
and recorded.
That might be the worst part. The shuffle up to it might be worse.
The actual dap, not terrible.
Not bad.
It's everything before and after.
It's everything.
This is terrible. And then watch the dap. The dap itself, not terrible.
it's
But
kinda nice.
then you go into his, like, I don't know why you put your legs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He works in sports. That's why
That's
he
a
knows how to
short
dap.
thing.
Is it a short thing?
Yeah.
needed uppies.
Interesting.
We need to call Domonique. I wish everybody could hear the motivational speech Domonique just gave Chris Cody.
It wasn't really motivational. It was, you're awesome, dude. He was just praising me.
Why'd you turn into?
I shouldn't be talking. I haven't been introduced yet. My bad. I'll be quiet. I'll play the background.
I am summoning Domonique Foxworth, not just because we just replayed the video from last summer of David Samson koala bearing him mid-dap, but also because Chris Cody clearly was waiting for that external validation. You guys talked about sack grabbing in a way that felt honestly inspirational.
I feel like we need a new idiom for that, like a more modern one. Sometimes with my friends, this is a secret that I'm going to tell you guys. Some of my friends, I ask for permission to take us back to the 90s, like in a group chat. Before I say something, I'm like, permission to go back to the 90s. They grant the permission. I text my group chat something that I would not say publicly, but I don't know the words for it right now. And then we return to 2024 or 2025 now. But I just realized with Chris, when I talk to him, I've been noticing, like I listen to the show, I've been noticing that Chris feels like he's become a little bit more forceful and
He's
like
rolling
confident.
his shoulders right now, listening to you compliment him.
Yeah, and so like I came on and I was like, Chris, proud of you, man. It seemed like you grabbed your sack lately, which I realized like that's a bad thing to say because I see Jess in the back row and like I feel the same way about Jess, but I can't tell her. And then it's just like
Ivan can't be brave. They have no balls.
I know, like that's it's outdated. Like there has to be some better idiom for like asserting yourself.
Intestinal fortitude, sir, is what you're looking for.
How about great job? You're improving.
No, see that's generic.
That's not what he means. That's not specific.
Yeah, like I appreciate that you have a lot of managerial experience, but I do feel like some of the interpersonal things about management, you just missed the mark because it's like saying you're doing a great job. Like it does not feel genuine. It's like saying somebody, you look nice, as opposed to, man, I really appreciate the way you've grown in your beard. Like the salt and pepper looks really
We show it through
distinguished and
salary,
handsome.
Dominique. We show it through salary, through title.
Yeah.
You
should
don't need
know,
to show it through sack grabbing.
Go on.
You should know, Dominique. You should know that David tried to high five me when I wasn't trying to high five him.
Let's put that up
So-
for Dominique to see if we
Yeah,
can.
just so Dominique can be brought in, caught up on the show as we do Substitute Teacher Week here. It was look. It's just, I'm not trying to high five you. I'm just gesturing in your direction. The other reason I wanted to bring Dominique in beyond establishing the rules of consensual 90s mode, which I like.
We like to call it the 20 CB on Cinephobe.
The 20 CB.
The 20 CB. Whenever you go back into the 90s or the 80s or earlier than that, you're going back to the 20 CB as opposed to when we're in the 21st century, ma'am.
But you announce it to your group text when you're doing that, the way Domonique does?
We often will ask, and sometimes it won't be something that's offensive. Sometimes it'll be a saying, and we'll say, or something that happens. Is this 20 CB? And then we get a confirmation from the group text. Yes, this is in fact a 20 CB occurrence.
Domonique, does anyone say no when you ask them to go back?
Of course not. Like, it's
so
a
then
joke.
Why ask?
Because it's a joke. Man, you like...
All right.
I feel like I start back over with you every time I see you. I start back over with teaching you how to be a goddamn human being. It's like we got to start at square one. I would like you to carry over some of the things that I've taught you in the past. Like last time, we made so much damn progress.
We really did.
People loved you. I loved you. It was like, this is good. And then we get back on here and you're telling me I just throw money at people. That shows them that I like them. That doesn't work. And then you're like, do they decline? No. The point is, it's funny. It's like, hey, can I go back to, like, when someone says something that's like a little bit sensitive, like, can I go back to the 90s? Then you call them a slur that you would have used in the 90s that wouldn't have been considered a slur back then. And then you come back, like, and then we all laugh together. It's why do I have to explain this to you?
So, Domonique, I got some things here that are not quite as offensive that are decidedly 20 CB.
Do we need some fanfare?
Sure, these aren't top 5. These are just 5 examples, but give me some fanfare. Number 5, eat your heart out. Nobody says that anymore. That is a relic of the 20th century.
Our hearts remain uneaten.
Eat your heart out. No one says that anymore. Framing the first dollar a small business makes.
I would still do that if I started a business.
I thought that was like an immigrant thing.
It's a dry cleaner thing. Always a dry cleaner, right?
They just put it up where you can see it. Restaurants do it too.
Do they?
It's in the kitchen.
Describing someone as tall, dark, and handsome.
These are all SpongeBob bits, by the way.
It took me a long time to realize that they weren't talking about black people when they said tall, dark, and handsome. I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait, that guy's not dark. He's just
they aren't?
No. They were.
Jinx, Domonique.
Letting people know that Napoleon always had his hand in his pocket. When I was a
kid.
The
kids today appreciate that he had it tucked right there.
Cartoons, movies, TV shows. Always, if you mention Napoleon, the first thing you mention was his hand was in his pocket like that. Don't even see. My kids have no idea what that is, right? Like, they know who Napoleon is. They have no idea what
We used to be a proper empire.
And then finally.
We are again now, it seems.
We are dicey.
Yeah.
And then finally, hot water bottles.
Why are those 90s?
You don't see them.
We have heating pads now.
Heating pads,
I love
those
my
clay
heating
things
pad.
they put in the microwave, you heat up, the electric ones. No one uses a hot water bottle anymore. Again, now, if you grew up like we did, Looney Tunes, anytime someone was sick, there was a hot water bottle somewhere, right? But these kids don't watch Looney Tunes, so they don't know what hot water bottles are.
Looney Tunes is how I learned most cultural references.
Absolutely.
I had no idea hot water balls were a thing. Just
another thing that's very 90s. Sometimes people's shorts are a little 90s,
Yep.
and then they update those shorts and they get these new age. Look at those shorts. Look at that material. That is future material. Chris Cody
Fiore
is no longer rocking 90s ass shorts. It's a decades old callback, David Samson. Sorry, that wasn't for you, but
No, that's one of the great brands. We got to see if they can send us some clothes for a sponsorship. I'd like to get on that.
Wait, so Chris Cody wears the same shorts as David Samson?
They are the most comfortable clothes possible. Am I the only one who's...
No, I don't wear their men's shorts, but I have several pairs of leggings.
Do they come
Let
with
me done.
pickpocket protection?
Yep, zippers.
There's zippers, but it's not great because the zippers actually in the flying pants that I have, the zipper is more of a vertical zipper, and it's a little tight to get as much in the pockets. I'm a big pocket guy.
Let me ask this question.
Flying pants?
Aren't the Viore shorts the ones that were in the Dolphins training camp
I have
video?
multiple colors. Yeah, I had the black Viore shorts for the 2 interview.
Are we still proud of this brand now after someone...
It's not the shorts. That was just on me. Way too much thigh in that picture.
Okay.
Disagree.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Domonique, are you excited to go to New Orleans? Because you're not there, and there's a lot going on there. All of Meadowlark is there. They're having the time of their lives. And when we asked you to be on the show, we thought you were already part of what's going on, and you haven't even left yet.
No, well, it's interesting you say all of Meadowlark is there when I'm looking at like a whole bunch of Meadowlark in the studio
Thank
right
you.
there.
The leftover.
Looking at some tall, dark, and handsome.
The
Is what Dominique's
holdovers.
looking at.
Nah, it's only one. The rest of you guys, not
Thank
quite
you.
dark enough.
Thank you.
Give me a couple more days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's fun. It's cool. It'll be a good time. New Orleans is good food. I mean, the best thing about the Super Bowl is normally the random occurrences that you can't plan for. And so my co-host of my show, Charlie Kravitz, has been like sending me all these reservations and plans and talking about what parties we're gonna go to. And that's just not how you do Super Bowl. That's not how you do Super Bowl. You show up, you talk your way into parties, you bounce around, you bump into old friends, and have random celebrity like meetups, and then you talk about it later on the flight back. Like Vegas
Have you
was
been
the
asked
best
to go on
experience.
God Bless Football yet with Stugotz?
No.
Well, we got to change that. I mean,
No.
apparently God Bless Football, the #1 football podcast in America, award-winning, as you know, Dominique.
Guys, get that off the screen.
And-
Oh, hold on. We're back on Chris's shorts.
God, that whole look, Chris.
Just this angle. Get this.
It's a really unfair angle.
Lewis is about to get fired.
The drawstring is my favorite part. He just the whole time.
All right, you're not. That's it. No more zooming. Cut away.
I think you look great.
And down a little bit more.
Thank you, guys.
Enhance.
That's my
Enhance.
worst nightmare.
Dominique, you like the politicking outside of the Super Bowl party? You enjoy that part?
No, I enjoy it now. I didn't used to enjoy it. So like talking your way into a party was a thing that would make me anxious in the past. But now, like, I mean,
What's your greatest talk your way into the party before you had the notoriety of being on massive television platforms? What was your magnum opus of talking your way into something?
I mean, it's lying mostly. It's like
No, you don't have a
it's-
specific, because I have a specific example.
Oh, get to it. Get
Specific
to it. Let
example.
me
Do you have
hear
a
it.
specific lie?
Oh, it wasn't like an example of a party that I got into that I shouldn't have got into.
Proceed.
Walked up, and this is at the point where I'm at my pinnacle. Sports Nation is happening. The jump is happening. I'm like, I'm out here, right? And so we go up to the.
I mean, you're still out here, just for the record.
well, I'm not. No, now I'm mature. I'm wiser. I'm like Dominique. I just
You showed up
wandered
an
the
hour
streets.
late for the
Late.
show today.
I mean, because I stepped off a plane.
Doesn't matter. That's a flex.
So
Should have talked your way into an earlier plane.
I wish. So I walk in and I walk up to security and as I'm looking, I said, I know what the deal is because most of these bouncers, they're all Laker fans. And so I just got to find the one Laker fan who looks at me and asks me why am I hating on the Lakers. So I see my guy. And I'm like, yeah. And he says, why are you always hating on the Lakers? I'm like, oh, come on, man. Da-da-da-da. This is when the Lakers are terrible. So as I'm talking, his manager comes up. His manager is your typical Vegas manager, right? Nightclub manager. Short Italian guy, lots of product in his hair, vest,
Hold
works
on.
out.
Can I think we have to enter consensual 90s mode before
Yeah,
we do that.
Funny CV. And he's got the earpiece, right? The earpiece. And he comes up there, sorry, boss, I can't let you in. I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. And that's all I got to do. I was like, hey, come on, man. And he's like, I'm sorry, even if I let you in here, see that guy over there? And there's a bald dude at a podium. He's like, that guy's my manager. He's not going to let you in. So I'm like, there's nothing we can do. And the guy I'd been talking to, and this is my rule, bouncers, bartenders, you get 15 minutes a show. I'll ask any question. I'll give him show. So I gave that guy 15 minutes a show. He pulls his manager aside and he just points back at me. And the guy unclips the velvet rope, walk in. My buddy's like, what's going on? I just listen. We walk up to the guy at the podium, the manager who would have said no, and he looks up and he says, why are you always hating on the Lakers? I was like, come on, man. I gave him like 5-10 minutes of show. We're in the party. My buddy was like, that was amazing. How did you do that? I'm like, hey,
Why don't you try a C note next time?
Oh, no, I'm not gonna. That's the rule, David. I don't pay. I
money.
refuse.
It's just money with this guy. Don't you?
I just don't want to do 15 minutes a show.
Oh, I don't mind
You care
giving
about
15 minutes a
sport?
show. I don't.
It's about the challenge.
For a bouncer or a bartender, I'll give him 15 minutes a show, no problem. It's the other normies that I have a problem with. That's right. You see me in the streets, you say hello, you get a picture, keep it moving.
That's
You
the
won't
most
even
fun
give
part, is
someone
the
1
challenge.
minute of show unless they can do something for you?
I give him a question.
We know Amin's policy. Amin will do pro bono Sports Nation for any bouncer or security guard. But if you're an Uber driver who asks Amin, what do you do? Amin is lying his ass off immediately.
I work for Marriott. guest experiences. I travel from property to property to make sure that we have consistency across all the brands.
Do you flash your chipped tooth when you do that?
I haven't had to do it since I chipped my tooth.
All right, David.
I'm just asking. It's important.
Can we talk to Domonique? I miss Domonique.
Can I bring Domonique back in because Amin said something else, Domonique, that made me glad that you were here and available before you get on your flight to New Orleans, which is that Amin was just in Arizona and he had witnessed a special sporting milestone.
My child had a flagrant foul, the very first flagrant foul.
Ooh, nice.
Hopefully a long career. And it happened with 5 seconds left in the game, and the other team was just dribbling the ball out.
Oh, gosh. And so you were very proud, I assume.
No, I had to, because, first of all, it was a road game. So I got to demonstrate to the crowd that I don't condone this behavior. And I just said, why? I just kept saying, why? Why? Like Nancy Kerrigan, why? Why?
The guy who used to co-host Sports Nation is despondent right now. Yeah. What's happening?
Did you start doing show?
I started doing show for all the people around me, yeah. But Domonique, do you remember your first unsportsmanlike conduct?
I remember celebrating when my oldest daughter first started getting fouls in basketball, but especially and I don't think we need to go back to the 90s for this, but like being a parent of two girls and a boy, like watching the way girls' sports are played and the way that their refs and coach kind of frustrated me because they're encouraged the boys in such different ways. So I remember like when my oldest daughter was 8 years old and she busted another girl's lip because she was trying to get a rebound. I remember celebrating her and then taking her home to watch Charles Oakley videos because like the difference in that age of sports for boys and girls, a lot of times the difference is like just want to like fight and try hard. And it was like, yeah. And they respond to the way everyone else acts. And when there's a foul in the boys' games, it's a lot different when there was a foul in the girls' games. And I just was trying to encourage them to be a little bit more aggressive and feisty. So I did not yell why. I stood up and started clapping like, she all right? All right. She all right? Good. Let's keep playing. You get a little lip bust. And it was probably good for her too. Like my daughter's got elbowed in the eye last week. You know what she did? She got up and she kept balling. And I was very proud of that.
Look, we're down like by a bajillion points. There was 5 seconds to go. It had all the wrong
What do you
optics.
mean? Be a better defense attorney for your kid. Dear
no.
God.
No, man, I can't.
Domonique just gave you a thoughtful way to spin this, and you're like...
I'm doubling down because Domonique, if it was in the middle of a game doing a basketball activity, I would be like, yeah, no problem. This was literally, the kid is dribbling the ball out, and my child just stares and says, F this. Just trucks.
From behind or like head on?
Head on. And the kid was feet above the head. On the ground.
Wow. Tom and Jerry style?
I would have done when I played soccer. Sometimes you just gotta like get a little foul out. Just like
and then looked at me and shrugged. Like, what? What'd I do? I said, why? What'd I do? I'm like, what are you doing?
You said it was a road game.
It was a road game.
And all the home crowd knew that you were the parent of this player?
Yeah, because I'd been talking the whole time.
Oh, you're that parent?
I talked to my kid the entire time. I'm terrible.
All right, we got to establish some etiquette, Domonique. What's your sports parent? What are your sports parent commandments when it comes to talking?
Well, I mean, I have unique experience, so like I never say I coach my son's flag football team, so that's very different. But like through my whole sports parenting career, I just am very quiet and I don't react to anything other than just like clap. I don't like cheer for individuals on the team. Like, it's just my sports parent rules. I don't begrudge anyone who does that, but generally, like,
You ever like turn away? Do you give like the aggressive like fist pump, but like you want to be subtle with it? So you're like,
it's normally just a clap. Like, okay. No matter how intense the game is, and my wife is a little bit different, even though she's not an athlete and she's not very much into sports, but she is very much into the kids' sports, and so we've had a couple near altercations where I had to stand up and be like, look. This is not what we're going to do to like some opposing parents. Like, this is not what we're going to do. This is 12-year-old girls soccer. Relax. And then normally people respond accordingly. But yeah, I don't know. That's the worst possible thing is I don't want to be in a situation, and maybe this is just me being like self-conscious, is like I assume that people are looking at me. I don't want people to leave and be like, man, Domonique was real tough on his kid, or that Foxworth guy was trying to fight the whole opposing fans and yelling at the refs. It's like when you go from watching Patrick Mahomes play, it feels kind of insane for this like guy on his second job reffing a game for me to start yelling at him like, get it together. Guys doing the best he can.
I pray for footage of you guys flipping out at a game.
I
just want someone to send me a TikTok of you guys.
It won't happen because mine isn't the
tearing
kind
your jacket off.
It's not the kind that he's describing. I don't talk to the refs. I don't talk to the coaches. I don't talk to other parents. I don't talk to any other kids. I'm just telling my kid, cut now. Now, like,
Are you ever undermining like a play that's been drawn up?
No. No, because I know the plays.
Okay.
You know the plays.
I know what you're doing though. You're taking shots by talking to your kid. You're taking shots at the opposing team. Like, come on. You can beat him off the dribble. You can beat him off the dribble.
Oh, I thought Domonique was saying Amin is taking shots literally vicariously, as in like shoot.
Coach, you got to isolate number 9 on defense. We need to isolate number 9. They can't guard anyone.
I don't do that. I don't tell my kid when to shoot. I do say cut and things like that. I do know the plays because when my kid comes home and says, "Hey, we got a new play," I said, we have a whiteboard. I said, draw it up for me. And then you've got to tell me from every position. If you're playing the 2, all right. Now if you're playing the 5, where are you? What are you doing? So it's just things that we do. We watch film together.
Film of what?
All the games. It's high school, so all the games are on film. So like after the game, we come home and we watch film.
Oh, it's high school. I don't know. I thought it was younger for some reason.
I was picturing 10 to 12.
No, yeah.
You.
My kid's a freshman in high school playing varsity.
So there's a big crowd. Wait.
Oh, this changes everything.
Did you guys all catch that?
We were not.
Did we all catch that? Earl Woods over here
Freshman
is
playing
revealing what's really happening.
I stand corrected.
Amin is engineering the next grade athlete.
Not really. We're more about grades in my house, but but my thing is
that's what you got to say. That's what you got to say. Amin, well done. Well done.
A good immigrant parent.
Yeah. If you're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right too.
Framing dollar bills and talking about grades.
Domonique, sorry.
I'm sorry. Who's gonna win the Super Bowl?
We all are, man. It's gonna be a fun game that we'll enjoy. It'll be a tremendous experience. Watch some commercials and all that stuff. I think Kendrick's gonna win the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar, Super Bowl champion.
I think SZA's gonna win the Super Bowl.
I don't know. My money's on Kendrick.
No, man. SZA's got a moment going.
Domonique, what hotel are you staying at?
What is happening right now?
Why would you ask that?
Because I thought you had this amazing thing to talk to him about.
It is. It's the Super Bowl.
Who's gonna win the Super Bowl? Is the best you have?
I'd like to know.
We really just want a most down. I don't want to do this. What's happening? We just had we were doing something.
We were dancing.
We're having too much fun. Dan's gonna fly
All
back
right.
now.
Speaking of flight,
He's
Domonique.
listening, by the way. We all
Dan,
know he's
I know.
listening.
Dan
That's why Jeremy wore that color
Dan.
green, just for Dan.
Dan was
That's right.
worried. Dan said that he's happy to take vacation. The audible sound of laughter through the glass that you may be able to catch is Jess's reaction to that premise. I believe that Dan is worried. I believe that Dan should be on vacation. I believe that Dan
He's
has
not
nothing
on vacation. You know that, right? He's working.
I mean, he's not working the whole week. The whole point is to give him time, right? He's doing this show with Dan Patrick, which everybody in New Orleans, if you're listening, go watch. It's at Tipitina's, which is an awesome venue. You know, go do that. But after that, like, Dan should have a weekend to himself. He should be,
Painting the town red.
That's right. Another thing people don't say anymore.
Is that a 90s reference?
I don't know. It felt right.
CV.
Domonique, you can be our scout on the ground and let us know how much fun is being had.
Yeah, please.
By Dan?
Yes, that's correct.
No, I think you guys misunderstand what Dan thinks is fun. Dan, like what you guys think is fun, not what Dan thinks is fun. Complaining? Oh, whew, he's in his element. Dan is just going to be out there searching for something to go wrong so that he can then complain about it when he gets back. And he'll be so happy that he had some shit go wrong.
The only thing I want to see from the Super Bowl content-wise is Charlie doing his Dan impression to Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Can we make that happen and send that video to us exclusively, please, for YouTube and the DraftKings Network?
Charlie, my co-host, he flew to New Orleans yesterday, and he was on the flight with Jaden Daniels.
Oh.
What? Oh, my God. How excited was he?
Oh, he said that it was Jaden and his mom. He said he walked up to Jaden and said, "You changed my life."
What?
And we know he's probably said this in the nerdiest way possible, right? Can you do a Charlie impression, Dominique?
I can't, actually.
If you can imagine, what the voice I imagine Charlie used is the voice that Charlie uses to impersonate Dan,
Yes,
which is also the voice that Amin uses to impersonate Adam Silver.
Oh, a little meek voice like that?
That's exactly what Charlie's Dan impression sounds like. You changed my life, Jaden Daniels. Thank you.
My life.
I want to get back to the game.
good.
I want to get back to the game of what do you tell the person that you're the biggest possible fan of. Charlie went with "You changed my life." Think about that. We have a video though I want to play.
They're coming for
I would
everything.
think that if success was an indication that he might have earned, all because it feels like Robert Kraft just talking bad about him behind closed doors, like that's shocking to me that no one would be willing, because the owners don't like each other. Like, some of them like each other. I'm shocked that someone didn't just go hire him just to piss off Bob. Somebody hates Bob in there.
Yeah, but that's because they run this business like a monopsony.
Oh, here we go.
Dominique,
Now, are you?
it's a cartel. It's a cartel, Dominique.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mock. I thought you were gonna mock me.
That was you saying,
Monopsony.
Dan, it's a monopsony. These
It is.
owners, and then Dan goes, no, Dominique, it's a cartel. And that Bob Kraft not getting anyone to hire Bill Belichick, that's some gangster.
Oh my God.
That is great.
Oh, the gangster.
Sounds like Mickey Mouse in South Park.
The last time that he did it was one of last week's shows, and we've added a new element to it. It's now the hokey wordplay. That's our new element that we've added to it, is when he does like a double entendre type of situation.
Yes. I know this move. It's the move you do as a writer, and you think you can do it just speaking, and it's a real heat check.
It's very much like a 50-year-old man trying to rap is what it comes off as.
Can you give me an example?
Sure.
The Michael Jordan, the souls of Michael Jordan. Do you know that one, Amin?
No, I don't.
Dominique, you got it.
I don't know if I can get my voice high enough.
Well, just say it, and I'll say it in the high-pitched voice.
Okay. When Dan was in China, he said he was walking at the Great Wall behind the souls of Michael Jordan at the place that took the soul out of Jordan. Something like that. That's actually a good example of it. I don't like that one because that's actually really kind of cool. The rest of them
Are we now realizing that Dan's kind of a good writer? Is that what's happening right now?
No. We know Dan's a great writer. But the other times he was talking to me in text, and I said agreed, and he was like agreed, and then put a space between it and wrote agreed, like greedy. I was like, yeah, like nah, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. That ain't it, bro. That ain't it.
Plus, I thought Seoul was in South Korea.
Oh,
That's not.
Let's just sit here for a second.
Dan would have kicked Amin
just
out
sit
for
here for a
that, I would
second.
assume.
But Stugotz!
These gladiator games, graffitiing the Church of Football, the cathedral.
Oh, man.
I love Dan. I hope Dan's listening to this.
I hope he's not.
Have you guys seen a person that you were an enormous fan of and you wound up saying something like "you changed my life" to them? Is there a thing, David? Who's the person you would most be excited to encounter, and do you have a thing you'd want to say to them?
There was an actor named Alan Alda.
Oh, yeah.
Who's still alive.
MASH.
Who was the Hawkeye in MASH. And there was an episode of MASH called The Joker. And when I spoke to Alan Alda about it, when I met him, I asked him about that episode, and he didn't remember it. And I recall being devastated. How can it be? And now that I've done 1,200 Nothing Personal shows, I absolutely understand that you don't remember things that you do. He remembered lines at the time. He recorded it, and it changed my life. And I said to him the next time I saw him, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about this episode that you did not remember filming, and I thought that you were crazy, and now I realize that you're normal. And the concept of people who pretend that they remember everything they've done, you can't do it.
And then he said, and you are?
No, he thank you.
Wait,
That's
so you
very
saw
nice
him a
of you.
second time and brought up something he didn't remember the first time?
Is there anything
So-
else you learned from the most popular television show of all time through podcasting?
He does. Wait, explain to me what you mean, because he is a podcaster in his 80s.
What I mean is
He
that
embraced
what I mean is
technology.
that you went to the star of the most watched television show of all time at one point and said, "I know what your life is like. I have a podcast."
No, you're absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, I didn't tell it right. I was 20 years old. I hadn't even started law school. I hadn't even finished college.
No, you talk about the second meeting where you say,
I was 23 years old.
Are you stalking Alan Alda? What is happening here?
I just happen to know him, and you can play it a bit, whatever. He's Alan Alda. It's not even worth
We're
it.
not gonna.
He's
we're not gonna play it.
he's got Parkinson's. He is in his 80s, and he does this really cool
I feel like we
podcast
should play it now because I feel bad.
You should feel bad. Alan Alda is my acting hero, and personally, he is an amazing person. He's an amazing person. He commuted back and forth from New York to L.A. to film MASH because he wouldn't move his family to L.A. for that 11 years.
What?
I can't believe we're doing MASH talk and it's not on a Greg Cody Tuesday.
Is happening.
That's so unexpected.
Everything David says and this episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by Venmo.
I wish I was down there now. I mean, I wanted to be down there before, but I never wish I was down there more than I did the last 4 or 5 minutes or so. Like, I mean, now I get, like, I think you guys are all tremendous. I will have one piece of criticism for the man in the middle chair.
Yeah, I felt Dominique.
Pablo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you, like, at the next break, I'm gonna need you to grab this show by the throat. The next segment, you need to have a real legitimate hardcore football or sports topic ready at some point. And you throw it in there, and then you spin off of the hardcore football topic into silliness, and then you bring it back to the hardcore sports topic. It just feels like we out here willy-nilly right now, and I don't like willy or nilly.
Another thing people don't really say anymore is willy-nilly, by the way. Let's keep a running list.
Willy-nilly's making a comeback. Look at a comeback.
I think you're being willy-nilly.
Nilly-willy.
Willy-nilly.
Who's gonna win the game?
I see what you mean now, Dominique. I see what you mean now.
Best we got.
No, here's the bad news. Here's the bad news for the steering wheel in front of me. It has the word, there are vultures circling the Elser written on it. And that's what I was going to lead with the next time we came back from break.
Nope. Throw that out. I don't know what it is. If it's the Luka trade, the De'Aaron Fox trade, it's whatever you want. You got to find something, and that's what you start with. Okay? Next segment, Pablo.
They're not just vultures, they're turkey vultures.
And they're huge.
Can we get Ron? Can we get Ron Magill on to talk about the vultures?
I mean, first meatloaf, then burgers, now vultures. I mean, what is turkey not going to come after?
See? We're done with that. Let's not come back to that. You did it. You can't do that any better. He nailed it, all right? So we're done with that, all right? You did it. Don't bring up the vultures any damn more.
Are they healthy vultures?
I can't tell if Chris is feeding me lines or just saying them now into the microphone for everybody. It's hard to distinguish.
Turkey vultures, that was all me. I can't have that.
If it's just in your ear. Dominique, in New Orleans, there's been a lot of talk. I do want to get a quick thing in while we still have Dominique. There's so much talk. Roger Goodell coming out and talking about how things aren't scripted, how the Chiefs aren't favored. The head of the NFL Referee Association released
Scott Green.
Scott Green.
Scott Green. I've interviewed Scott Green before.
He released a huge statement on episode 190 of PTFO about how referees only cover 2 games per year for a team and that you'd have to have every referee involved in this sort of corruption and they're the best in the business, etc. As a player, and we talk to players a lot about this, did you feel ever that there was any sort of refereeing that in any way went either for you or against you?
No. I never felt like there was any bias, and it's something that I don't know. I'm sure Amin has probably had this conversation with youth athletes also. It's like, who cares? Like it's out of your control. So like I've never given it enough thought to think that anyone was cheating. Of course, there were bad calls in my favor and bad calls against us in every game that you play, but it's something that's completely out of your control. And I assume that maybe it's not just an athlete thing, but like I kind of feel that way generally about the world around me. It's like, I don't know, it go work out.
Counterpoint, let's storm the Capitol.
Right? Like, are you saying it's a 50-50 get back here, Domonique? Is that your point? It all evens out in the end? You just have to stick around?
No, it probably that's true, but it's honestly, it's like it's not in your control, and complaining about it isn't gonna fix it. There are going to be issues, and maybe honestly, like the experience and the life experience that I was kind of alluding to is like, no, it never evens out. But who gives? Like, it's just the way it's gonna be.
David, when it comes to referees, this is what I said. This is one of the things why I think Adam Silver isn't as strong as he needs to be. We've had over the last couple of years several instances of players and coaches insinuate that like the fix was in. And I said, look, man, you can call the refs stupid. You can call them blind. You can even say, hey, that ref doesn't like me. There's a personal vendetta. What we cannot ever allow in our sport is to have people question the integrity of the sport, meaning these guys are on the take, doing money signs, talking about they wanted them to win or whatever. That's the stuff that should not fly. The league has been very soft on that. And I think the NFL is the same thing. You need to kill that immediately, not only with your players and coaches, but also with your broadcast partners, right? Yeah. If you're Fox, if you're CBS, NBC, or ESPN, you want our rights? You can't be talking that craziness. Amazon, too. You can't talk about the refs wanted them to win. You can say he got a superstar call. That's very different from there's a script or there's some sort of nefarious kind of thing at play.
But that distinction of there are superstar calls, and the NBA, by the way, is pretty, I would say,
Standard.
unique. But it's unique among sports where it's like every call has room for interpretation. When in the game is it happening? Who is committing it? Who is the person who is on the other side of it, right? Where on the court is it happening? All of this stuff factors into what makes a good call in basketball. And in the end, I mean, look, I guess across all sports, though, the reason why I think it's such a hard conversation is because there is truth. The league likes to think of refereeing broadly as a dial to turn, right? We're overcorrecting for some things. We're trying to make up for other things. That happens. In the NBA, we saw it, I mean. Scoring's way up.
Right.
What happened?
They interpreted the rules differently.
Mid-season, and the things changed. In the NFL, there are things that are called now, Domonique, that didn't used to be called that way because there was an actual change. The specific, though, favor trading of we are rewarding a superstar team as an entity, that's where I agree. We're leaving the realm of...
Oh, the NBA trade deadline, it never stops. Via Chris Haynes, Milwaukee Bucks are trading three-time All-Star Chris Middleton to the Washington Wizards for Kyle Kuzma. How about that?
Stop the show for that.
Chris Middleton.
You say Bucks, I think Giannis.
Well, no, Giannis gets some help now. He gets Kuz.
Moves before moves.
The move before the move.
Love the move before the move.
Oh, this is a pre-move.
Yeah, that's breaking news, all right. Thank you, Domonique.
I
got us back on track.
I deserve that.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and a great tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. You know, 2024 had its ups, had its downs, had a lot of moments in it. For me, many of those moments, I had a Miller Lite right there by my side. I supplemented my time by making it a Miller time. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Miller Lite has taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who love beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, and it has simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. The original light beer since 1975, and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
So lots of stuff is happening in the NBA as we tape right now. We'll keep interrupting what I think are thoughtful points with meaningless updates about Chris Middleton as we proceed here, I guess. Another bit of news, though. Maybe, David, you've already covered. Come on.
You said you have news. That's for you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I thought there was another trade.
The NFL has a deal with Miami's own Pat Riley for the use of three-peat on merchandise if the Chiefs win. Which is, look, I think people probably know by now that Pat Riley invented the term, or at the very least, got the intellectual rights to the term. But I imagine this tickled you, David.
I don't think he should have gotten it. I think three-peat is used too often by too much that to give it all to one person. I think it was a mistake by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, but he has it.
Do you think there's a former assistant coach of Pat Riley at the time who's like, that's bull? I told him that.
And now they get nothing.
And I'm not on that.
Now, but Pat did say, thank God, he gives most of the money to charity. That's always my favorite, most. And we can all define what that means. But the NFL had to do a deal with him because I want the NFL to not use it. Just say back to back to back.
Yeah.
Fred McGriff style.
Well, David, let me ask you a question. Yeah, that's a good call from the
Again,
commercial.
things kids knew in the 90s.
Yeah.
I know that. I don't remember the line back to back to back, but I do remember that.
Back to back national champions.
National champs, Little League, yeah. David, you are older than everyone here today, so I'm not old enough to remember, was three-peat a thing that was said before, like in the early 80s?
No, it was 88. It was after.
No, I know when he coined it because they thought they were going to go for three in a row and then they lost to the Pistons. But I'm just saying, did he actually invent the term, or was that already a term that was being used and then he was just first to...
He used it on stage.
Right.
So my recollection, and this is back maybe before many of you were born, I believe when they had won their back-to-back, he was on stage the way you do after a parade, and he then said, I'm sure we can find this out, he said, how about a three-peat? And remember when LeBron went to was it LeBron and the Heat? Let's do four, let's do five, not one.
You nailed it. That's exactly what it was.
And how many did he go to?
It was not 5, not 6,
he
not
went
7.
to 4 in a row and then left.
He went to... No,
it was not 5, not 6, not 7.
And he ended up being at 4 finals with 2 titles. I think it was a lot of premature exuberance by Riley at that time, but it's been paying off ever since.
I mean...
And we give into it. Companies give into it who are experiencing three-peats. If you're a regular company...
Yeah.
What regular company is experiencing a three-peat?
Meadowlark with the best football podcast.
Oh, my God, yeah. We're going to have to pay Pat Riley if Stugotz wins again, right?
You can't say, hey, it's a three-peat.
Oof.
We already built him a statue.
Put it on top of the Elser.
Not good enough.
Can't you just spell Pete differently?
You know what? It's funny. I saw the patent. There's so many different iterations, like any spelling you can think of.
Trademark.
Chris.
Like, I'm going to get it. If I see
Unless he
3-peat with
invented
2
like a
E's,
machine.
I'm going to be like, yep, got it.
P-E-E-T,
Yeah.
Rodney, Pete,
Yeah.
with an E at the end.
Sure, however you want to spell
However
it,
you
just
want to do
differently.
it. Repeat. I just think it's funny that Kansas City, no one's ever done it. That's what I'm excited about for the Super Bowl.
You're rooting for the Chiefs.
100%. I find it hard to believe that people don't want to see a three-peat because I've never seen that in my life in the Super Bowl.
But David, this is why leagues like dynasties, because it forces everyone to choose a side. Either I want to see history or I'm sick of them. I can't wait for them to lose. That's why the Yankees are great. That's why the Lakers and the Celtics are great. And that's why right now the Chiefs are great, right? The idea that something that makes everybody watching, even the casuals, feel a need to either say, oh, I want to see Taylor's boyfriend win another one, or say something like, oh, I hate that Taylor Swift. Like, it's so stupid, and yet it is the engagement that the league desires.
Do you like how Kelsey came out yesterday and said, we're not going to go through this again. I'm not retiring. I was one of the guys who thought Taylor would make him retire. Because I thought, she said, I really don't want to date someone whose head's getting bashed in. I'd like him to be able to put 3 sentences together to make a paragraph. So I thought he'd win it and then walk. But apparently, not only is he not doing that, he's already said, win or lose on Sunday, I'm back.
But David, you have them having deep intellectual conversations long into the night?
I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I don't yuck on other people's relationship yums.
It's not about their relationship yums. I don't know how much compelling conversation.
You think they're just grunting?
I mean,
hell yeah.
At least 50%.
I have them having real conversation about life, about future, about...
I'm picturing them like embracing, just like cuddling in the bed, and she's like rubbing his head like, is your head hurt? You have a headache? You don't need this.
You guys are funny. I think they're just as normal as we are.
I do that with my wife all the time. How's your head, honey? Come here.
You rub her head and say, how's your head?
She has a headache?
You get the hot water bottle, and you lay it gently.
My wife does this thing when she gets a headache where she puts the sleeping mask on because she doesn't want to open her eyes. And I take like a nice wet cloth and I just drip it on her forehead.
Yeah. Does she have the fun CTE?
I don't know.
That seems like an oxymoron.
Well, that was Andrew Hawkins let us know this.
There's a fun CTE?
There's a fun CTE, yeah.
He gave approval on Dan's.
Oh, Dan was the one that came up with fun CTE.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Well,
what do you love?
I love a lot. I love a lot of
what
things and
happened
a lot of people. I don't love fun and CTE in the same sentence.
He malfunctioned trying to say the word love.
I love. I had my wires crossed.
Do we want to play the game? Is that a perfect segue for the host to step in and remind everybody we have a game that Chris Cody, executive producer, has prepared?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play.
Is he human?
With David Samson.
Silly me, I thought this was the funeral game.
We played it yesterday with Diane, and it was a disaster.
Well, what they're going to figure out is for everyone else, the question we're looking for is the one that they'll say no to. For you, it's the one that they'll say yes to. Because
it's not a lot.
It seemed like you say no to almost every single one.
The funeral game is my favorite game to listen to and my least favorite game to play. But that is David Samson, the star of the hit game show.
Is he human?
Chris, how does the game work?
All right, David. We have questions for you, life scenarios, and you're going to answer it, and then we will decide as judges if you're a human or not.
Bring it.
First one. You're at lunch with a friend. Your dish arrives before theirs does. God damn it. Are you starting to eat before your dish arrives?
If it's cold, no. If it's hot, yes.
All right, I think that's a human. That's a human response. Good job, David.
I mean, begrudgingly, I'm
going to be honest.
Moving on, I'm going to read this one a little better. You're on a 4-mile hike with a friend, and they forgot their water bottle, but you have yours. Do you offer them any water?
This is a great one. This has happened. I will pour some water into the mouth of someone I'm with, and because I won't give them the bottle to drink from, even when they say I won't put my lips to it. It turns out when they try, they end up touching lip to top. So I will pour just a little bit.
Lip to top, you say?
I don't like lip to top.
Judges?
I think that's very human.
The part where you'd say, I'll pour it into your mouth, I think I'd rather you say no.
Well, how about you hand me your water bottle and I do that? I'm like,
no.
But no, this is the move. The move is you say, I'm not feeling that well.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just pour it in so you don't get whatever I have?
I was sick last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Or you do what David says, which is ask the person to genuflect before you so he may pour water into your mouth from a height.
Now, that is funny because when I'm shorter than the person I'm with, I'm not going to jump on a rock to do it.
So they have to kneel?
They've got to kneel.
Wow. So it's like a
I'm not going to make the effort.
It's like a fountain in a square in Italy, right? Just a tall man doing this and a small little cherubic angel Pouring
Not
water.
cherubic, but thank you.
Okay.
So that's-
65 is not cherubic.
That's a no, I think, on Is He Human? I'm just going to say no on that
So
one.
we're split so far, 1-1. All right,
right.
next question. Your significant other plans a dinner with a couple you find extremely boring.
Whoa.
What do you do?
I don't go.
Judges?
The human thing is to go.
I feel like Amin agrees with him a little
Oh
bit.
man, I'm with David. I find a way out.
What are you saying? What excuse are you using?
Oh man,
I don't want to go. I'm learning in my post-divorce life, honesty has taken over as a real possibility in every situation where previously it was not even contemplated. And now I try for the honesty. I don't want to go out with those people.
I've learned the exact opposite. Stop being honest. Just tell them the white lie that they want to hear.
Blame work. Be like, I gotta watch this game. I work in sports. It's a weird
Oh,
job.
my
I gotta watch
stomach.
this.
Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom again.
I now realize, as the one still married person at the table, I just go.
Same.
Yeah, I think the married person lesson is sometimes you do things you don't want to do, and sometimes they do things they don't want to do.
You hear that, David?
And you find the compromise.
I do not like doing things I don't want to do.
Then, yeah, I could see why it didn't work out.
No, because I did so many things I didn't want to do for 29 years. And I eventually said I don't want to do that anymore.
It didn't work.
Exactly.
It was a great run. But wait a minute. Are you going to say that 29 years is not a good run?
This is the perfect music for this conversation.
It's a hell of a run.
I think it depends on how the run was. I didn't experience the run, so I can't say.
David, let me ask you a question.
3 great kids.
David, let me ask you a
that's
question
good.
because
That's
this
good
happens
metric.
to a lot of athletes, right? That they're married, and part of what keeps the marriage together is half the time I'm not here. And then when they retire, a lot of the conflict happens and like
They got to go to these boring ass dinners.
It's the empty nest thing.
Yep.
You have your kids to deal with, and all of a sudden, that's the time. Majority of divorce is either after the year or after the empty nest. That's the majority. The itch is the 7. That's different. Because when the kids disappear, you realize, oh my God, now what are we going to do?
All of our interactions are it's one-on-one now. There's no buffer.
I feel like I'm at divorce counseling right now, as in people are saying you should probably get divorced. What's next?
Moving on. David, you get asked to watch a close friend's 2 kids for 3 hours. What do you say?
Crazy.
They're in a jam. They're in a pickle.
Doesn't
You're
matter.
A close friend.
How old are the kids?
That's a big one.
4 and 8.
No. I have watched
They're
a
potty
kid.
trained. They're potty trained.
No. But then I'm a no. I've watched a kid who's under 3 months old because I can do that very well. I'm really good at changing diapers, and they don't move. So I can go about my day. And when you put a kid who can't crawl or turn over, you can just keep them where they are, and you can go away for a minute and come back, and they haven't moved. Once they start to crawl or roll over, you have to watch them. You can't even shower.
All right, not a human. Moving on.
That is totally human.
2 words, Disney Plus. Just turn it on and walk away. They're fine.
I'm not watching those kids.
Thank you.
Moving on, David, when's the last time you ate at a buffet of any kind?
Good question.
Terrible question. When's the last time any of us have eaten at a buffet?
All the time.
Hotel
Yeah,
breakfasts.
come on.
Constantly.
Love a buffet.
I guess that counts.
I will tell you exactly when. There are great breakfast buffets in Tokyo hotels, like really, really good if you've ever been, and you can go there, and it comes with the room. But
did we outlast the music?
You have to be in Japan.
Thank you.
Because they're so clean.
That's how it works.
And there's no.
You will
it's not
only
like
eat
Vegas
at a buffet in a country with 0 visible unhoused people.
Oh, it's not about homeless people. It's about garbage. It's about cleanliness. It's
I'm
about
just
no
saying,
shaking.
You're eating at the cleanest city in
I always think
the
of that
world.
one cult in Oregon that put listeria in the salad bar, and like, what if some freak accident happened and someone just like put a little drip of some bacteria in the salad bar? It happened one time, and I saw it in a Netflix documentary.
Are you anti-buffet?
No, I'm pro. I eat buffets all the time. But I feel like I'm rolling the dice every time.
Are you anti-Kool-Aid? Because one time the Kool-Aid was such that it poisoned all those.
No, but I do think about it. I'm
I did.
just saying. It
Every
just
time you have
comes
some
to mind
Kool-Aid?
When I think about Kool-Aid, I'm
You're
like,
like,
I think about the
Jonestown.
Cult. Yeah. Terrible thing.
When I put on my Nikes and I think about the Hale Bop comment.
So judges on that one? What do we think?
I think we're realizing we're kind of more like David Samson than we all realize. Also,
If you don't like kids and germs, you're halfway there.
right.
Yes.
Final one, final question.
Simple rules.
David, you get invited to go to the zoo with friends. Do you go?
No.
Not a human. Who doesn't love a zoo?
I love the zoo.
You just don't like the zoo? Is that the...
Ever since I went on a safari, I've never been back to a zoo.
Oh, it's beneath you now.
Well,
it's just you've experienced the joy.
I also don't want to be out of control of a situation where I don't go anywhere with friends and their family because I don't want to be trapped. Or if I do, I take my own car. I always have to have an exit strategy from any position I'm in. So the answer is I wouldn't go to a zoo where, like in one car, where, oh my God, are you done with the monkey exhibit?
I'm just picturing David on one of those like 6 people bike things at the zoo where they're all like pedaling around. Come on, guys, let's go see the hippo.
I did a lot of that with my kids, Chris.
I don't believe you.
I did.
They have adult nights at the zoo now,
Oh,
right?
they
Where
do.
they serve like wine and stuff, and you go with your friends, and it's like it's a cool night out that's not a bar or something. It's fun.
It reminds me we should get Ron on the show to talk about those vultures. Speaking of
Those
zoos.
are insane. Have you stayed in a room at the Elster where they come to your balcony?
Turkey vultures.
Dude,
That's what we're
I
saying.
posted on Instagram the night before I fell and chipped my tooth. There was a massive vulture on the balcony, and it just kept staring at me.
Should have known.
Ooh, guys, spitball idea here. No bad ideas. What do you think tomorrow we set up a Zoom camera on one of the balconies, we put a little food out there, and we just keep a live feed of it going throughout the whole show, and we check in.
Go up to the top floor of the Elster. You don't need food. They will come. I switched rooms. They thought, oh, David Samson, you come here a lot. Let's put you on the top floor like a VIP. I walked in the room. I looked at all of the white... It's
The
really
droppings?
urine. It's not bird poop. I think it's actually urine.
Let's really find out what this is. Go ahead.
But those birds come to your balcony. You can't go on your balcony.
I say we do a science experiment. We put food
I'm
out
with
there
Chris.
for an hour.
I'm with
see
Chris.
what happens. And then maybe we put Ethan out there for an hour.
I want Ethan holding a turkey vulture on his arm like a falconer.
You've got Ethan holding the vulture. I've got the vulture grabbing little Ethan and flying off with him.
Talk about the numbies that would get. Just
Talk
all of a
about
sudden,
the
little
lawsuit
Ethan and
that
his...
would get. Wrongful death.
Good executive
Don't
producer.
take Gabe. Not Gabe.
Who in the office is most likely to be carried away by a vulture? I had
Ethan.
I had
It's
Samson.
gotta be David.
David Samson or Ethan.
I would assume I'm amongst the lightest.
I think Ethan's lighter than you.
I
Ethan's
Can
a
bring Ethan
slender
in
guy.
here.
He might be a little taller.
All
than
right,
you, but
when
he's
Ron
slender.
is on the phone, we're going to bring Ethan in here. We're going to ask Ron which of these two people is most likely to be carried away by a turkey vulture.
He's 140, Ethan.
I got him.
Really?
All right,
137.
Save this debate.
Wow.
Save this debate. I think the game is done, probably.
Although after last night, maybe 139.
A lot of stone crap.
We're going to go for the visual bit of them standing next to each other and Ron saying which one would get picked.
That's
How
right.
tall is he?
I don't know.
More than 65?
Inches. You do this inches thing. 5'6".
He's 66 inches. He's got me. That's it.
Dude, it's
Oh,
insane.
man.
It was like just to sit there and look at like a harbinger of doom staring at me in the eye. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just walk away and then it'll fly off because it's just taking. Nope. Sucker was out there for like 20 minutes.
And you didn't switch rooms?
No. I just didn't open. Like someone said, why'd you go out there and kind of shoo it away? I'm like, I'm not opening the door. What if it gets inside?
You die.
And the very next day, Amin,
And then the next day I fell and chipped my tooth.
that turkey stole your tooth.
It was the turkey. Saw it with a trench coat and a hat on.
I have an issue with buildings where there's supposed to be some sort of correlation between what floor you're on and how sort of unique and how upscale it is to be on a high floor.
Because they
That's
get
a
more
big New York
expensive
thing.
as you go higher, in New York at least.
It should
Yeah.
be the opposite here. I've stayed at this hotel. I don't want to be on the freaking 40th floor. It's terrifying to be on the balcony.
So in theory, it's supposed to be more expensive, and that's what they do. And I've always viewed it the opposite, that I get scared up high,
Same.
and I ask for the lower floors.
Also, you have to wait so long for the elevator.
Let me get that 17.
You know what I love? I love the idea that both of you two, it's like, oh, being up there, it's too scary on the balcony. You go up to the room and it's like, should I stay in my room? Nope. Got to see what this balcony's about. Oh my God, that's a far way down there. Oh, whoa! Like, you can just not go on the balcony. You can just stay in the room.
Do you picture yourself falling?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
I have to look down. Like,
Yeah,
I have to.
you gotta get. You feel those jelly legs.
Yeah.
It's totally normal. It's meant to make me feel abnormal that I have these feelings, but I do get the jelly legs. I do have the vision.
Who? When you say it is meant to, that's a very third-person way of describing what something else is doing to you. Who is doing that to you?
Well, you guys, that's what you do. That's your bit. Are you? Whenever I'm on any balcony, I keep my hand on the door. Again, I don't know if I'm the only one.
You don't get locked out
because
so I'm
the
grounded.
vulture might come.
No, it's just so I'm grounded.
I have a massive fear of heights too, so I relate to this. But I don't know that I go as far as holding on to the door the entire time. But that also depends on the size of the balcony.
The balconies at the Elser are not big.
No, they are. They're very narrow.
There's no room for furniture, so I feel as though you have to have your hand on the door.
I don't know. I mean, I'm like, these things don't impact me. I think like other people.
But that's because you know how you're going to die.
I was going to say, this all goes back to Amin having a dream about his own death.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really
prophecy.
compare human experiences with that.
What was it? I'm sorry.
You don't know
fill
this?
me in?
Yeah, I'm going to die in a car crash. Yeah. So, but that means anytime I'm on a plane or anything like that, and everyone's freaking out. I'm like, I always say, don't worry. That's not how I go out. I reassure everybody.
And when you get into a car, do you say, holy
Dude, I was thinking about that literally on the Uber ride from the airport today. I was like, strangely, I'm less terrified when someone else is driving. When I'm driving, I think about it constantly.
Because in the dream, you're the driver.
Am I the driver? I don't know. I can't remember.
That's an important note.
But I know I feel a great amount of fear when I'm driving.
Have you noticed friends that are like, oh, I'm going to catch the next one? Like when you're like, I'm going to go get an Uber. And they're like, I'll meet you there. I got to go upstairs and go to the bathroom first. You go ahead. By the way, we have a video, an update from Stugotz. Stugotz and Billy are at Radio Row. He's talking to Cam Jordan.
Oh, we have an update from New Orleans.
And I'm being told the Old Spice guy. I don't know what's in this, but it's apparently a funny video. Here you go.
Listen to me. I love you.
I appreciate you.
No, I love you.
I
love you. I love
what?
you. I love you, man.
Okay.
Okay. There's not enough.
I was feeling left out.
We're not spreading enough love in the world right now, and I want to spend my week telling people that I love them. So I love both of you guys.
I appreciate it. And I love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to be very intrepid about the usage of love.
I think he's overusing
I
it, if
deeply
I'm gonna be
enjoy
honest.
your company.
I love you. I don't care what you feel. I don't care how you feel about me, sir.
Hell yeah.
Let me just say this to you down there.
Yes.
I love you.
Hey, I love you, Old Spice
Did you say
guy.
it to me?
It's catching hold. I love you too.
This is great.
I
can't
have
stop.
a deep affection for everybody. But will retain my love for the ones that I truly love.
Cam.
Damn it.
The love is growing.
The fact that I'm carrying you with me shows you how much I care for you.
It's a lot of love. A lot of love at Radio Row.
I don't like Billy leaning in the way he was leaning in. I thought that he was critically ill. We went through this yesterday. Now he's on air doing his job, which is great, having recovered from being...
Wait, what are you mad at?
That video appeared to me as though Billy was, instead of facing out, he was facing toward the guest while talking. I assume you all noticed that. Right there.
Yeah.
When you are sick with norovirus or whatever it is that he had, don't you think you ought to be speaking straight ahead?
Yeah, but first of all, the idea that germs are like, can't make a left. I'm just going to go straight here if he talks. But Billy missed the whole day and got medication. Like, he was told by a doctor, you take this 24 hours later, you won't be contagious. So that's what.
What, Dr. Seuss?
And that's
antibiotics take 48 to 72 hours to kick in.
Okay.
I'd like to not be sued by the Old Spice guy. So let's maybe just keep our theories about
for non-disclosure of norovirus. I'm just saying that
I don't think any of us have a firm grasp on what's currently legal right
And is
now.
Billy wearing the same shirt as he is behind us?
He sure is.
Can we go back to that video?
Yep.
Is there a chance that that's the shirt that I'm looking at? No.
It looks the same.
It feels the same, but I don't think
It
is
looks
the same.
like a shirt out of the collection of that guy whose shirt you were
Dan
wearing.
flashes.
Is that Kyle Brandt behind Billy?
The more intricate the
Sloppy
design, the
steaks.
more expensive the shirt.
What was the name of the guy who designed that shirt?
Robert Graham.
Robert Graham.
No one's ever heard of Robert Graham?
Tim Robinson.
I'm a little shocked at
RG1.
without his own show.
I'm glad that the Old Spice guy stayed in character, which I guess that's what he's paid to do.
I love you. Thank you.
The Old Spice guy was seeing Jake from State Farm.
He got cupped.
Glow up and was like, I need a...
Did you notice that?
What
the
happened?
Old Spice guy?
What happened?
Again, I noticed it on the video. Did anyone not see it?
He got what?
Go on.
Do you know what cupped is?
Oh,
I thought you said something
the
else.
circles on him. He had
Yes.
circles on him. I didn't notice that.
So I don't. I guess we should go back to him, and maybe I saw it wrong, but I
thought you were saying a different word.
Yeah, we all heard
Cups?
something else.
You cupped with a P is what you said.
I
heard a different.
David, we all heard.
different kind of spice.
I think that's a cup mark.
I think that's a shadow of his microphone.
Yeah, that's the shadow of a microphone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's very
This
circular.
man's whole gig is having flawless skin and being muscular. And
Right? Like,
having a
why
deep
would he
voice.
cup himself prior to Super Bowl Radio
He
Row?
is shirtless for the audio audience, I guess. We
Just
should also
This is
point
a
that
very
out.
Radio Row-y clip. There's a product placement. There's a, what is that? There's a train going over us right
How
now.
is that possible?
I took my headphones off to be like, is there a plane?
As a New Yorker, that's not a great sound.
Look.
That was horrifying.
I don't like downtown Miami. I'm just going to throw that out
Let me
there.
tell you something. Beats the hell out of South Beach.
That's true.
Boy, have you guys?
Granted, there are vultures and questions
turkey
about
vultures,
whether
healthy
something
ones.
is
I
happening
don't
that
understand
might-
how we
real
just
estate
heard
vultures
a
as well,
plane like
but-
that. So the
That feels
sound
like a
of
Miami problem, not a this
earthquake.
building problem.
The sound of an earthquake is the sound of a train. If you've ever been in an earthquake, it sounds as though a train is coming into your room when you're in an earthquake. The sound of this, Wait, you guys are making this up, right?
No, that's a plane. It's just a plane.
They
flying
can't
over.
come this often.
No, that's not a plane, Chris. That's something in the air ducts. I don't know what, but something. Okay.
So I would have sworn
Perhaps
it
a
was a
spirit.
plane, but now I'm open to the idea that it's a ghost.
Oh, let's go back.
Maybe
to the,
Dan's hungry.
To the That's the stomach rumbling.
I lost my train of thought. I'm very sorry, but that scared me.
I wanted to.
Don't worry, we were just making fun of your shirt.
The Miami Beach has come out with an ad campaign actively telling people not to come to spring break.
We've done this for a couple of years.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, a couple of years.
The
they've
one
been
where
doing
it looks like a reality show. Because I'm watching this. It's like the worst show ever, and then I realized, oh no, this isn't a show. This is an ad, and I thought to myself, wow, how many places in the world advertise do not come here?
It's a cyclical thing. If you live down here, you agree with this. If you live on Miami Beach, I came down to Fort Lauderdale as a spring breaker way back in the 80s.
What was that like?
It was fantastic, but not for people who live there.
Hot water bottles as far as the eye could see.
No.
Napoleon.
Well, I think the local business owners though don't. So I guess it's mixed. Some of them do like it. Some of them lose a lot of business now.
It's a bit of an issue that they increased the parking to $100 so no one can park, no
South
one can
of
afford to.
23rd Street, I think.
Which
yeah.
is crazy. But it's like when Ultra comes to town, the people who live right around here, they leave. They don't want to be around for that type of festival, but the people who go to it are super happy and high and loving it. So I'm completely in favor of what my bitch is doing. They've done it for an economic reason, and they've said that it's better not to have these spring breakers.
But I guess my question is still, how many places on earth have ad campaigns actively telling people don't come here?
I don't think it's the same shirt. We're putting this up now, not to interrupt you, but I think it's a different shirt.
Different shirt.
It's
it is a
definitely
different shirt.
Judge's rule.
But it's the
different shirt.
same. I bet you it's the same make.
Damn flashes.
They're both loud.
No, I'm saying the same designer.
Oh, the brand's loud.
Is that a brand?
No, I was kidding. It's just a
Okay, thank you, Chris. Can we find out what brand that is? Does he have a deal?
I'm currently Googling Robert Graham.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Billy does not have a wardrobe deal.
He does not? Okay.
I would think this might have been like a 4-pack situation.
The
from, like,
Costco
Amazon.
4-pack undies? Is that what he comes
No,
in
that's not.
shirts?
It's not criticizing the quality, but if I know Billy, he's looking for a bargain, and so he's gonna find. All right, I like the way that shirt fits. Let me get 4 of them.
Well, Damn Flashes is a very aggressive brand, though, so you got to keep that in mind.
Can I give you the Wikipedia note under popular culture, a subsection on the Robert Graham page that I just located? This is the shirt that David Samson was blaming us for not appreciating. American Idol judge Randy Jackson frequently wears Robert Graham shirts on the show. And the contrasting shirt cuffs have been closely identified with the character Cameron Tucker from the television show Modern Family. So just to give you a sense visually
It's
of what
gonna
that
be a
might
no
be
for
like.
me, dog.
Yeah. You walk by a store and you see 50 guys who look like, just like me, fighting over very complicated shirts. You go in. Yes, you do. You go in.
It's
damn flashes.
David has no idea what's happening at this point.
I'm not going to be embarrassed about shirts that I like. I like designs. I wore one last night.
I know you did.
And I think I look better than your windbreaker, your members-only windbreaker.
I think my windbreaker looks great.
They have a shirt there that costs $2,000 because it's so complicated.
That's not the shirts I buy. Those are limited edition, very unique pieces.
Oh, man.
I'm hearing just Domonique in the back of my head yelling at me to take over the show, and I've been ignoring it for a while. And I finally want to get to a story that I brought in early this morning to Chris. Because a lot of people got in my mentions over the last couple of days about a breaking news story of its own.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm Marcus Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan's son. Okay. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to get home. And I made a wrong turn. Okay? And clearly, we would just like to get our car off of the train track.
It's
which
true.
we were not trying to be on. But that's why I had to get you out of the car. Okay? Because I hear spinning tires. I hear slurred speech from you. You're driving on train tracks. I'm not slurring anything. And I'm... Okay. I'm letting you know. I have concerns. Well, I appreciate that. Driving a vehicle, I can't let you back behind the car and drive a vehicle. I appreciate your concerns. Yeah, I don't want. But I am not inebriated. I'm not anything that cannot drive home.
90464.
The thing is, my job is to keep everybody safe. I'm not familiar with this area. I made a right. I thought I was making a right onto the highway. I made a right onto the train track.
1012.
Where did you turn at, man?
I wish I could tell you, but
I'm glad we blurred out the cop faces.
And you missed the best part of the video.
Wait, hold on. I want to set up. I need to set up the visuals. This is Michael Jordan's son, as
is that who that was?
As he had noted, Marcus Jordan, standing in front of his luxury automobile, which was pointed the wrong way, literally on a bed of cartoon train tracks. And that is where the police found him, thanks to this body camera video, which is a fraught concept, but very useful for content, it turns out, on a day like today. David, what was your objection?
My objection is that there's a rule that you're told as a celebrity or as a child of a celebrity. It's a very simple rule. You do
Did
not,
Alan Alda teach you this?
When you're pulled over, Vince Namoli did. Anybody? Vince Namoli, former owner of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Vince Namoli got pulled over in Tampa and said, "Do you know who I am? I am the owner of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays." And he then got summarily not let off.
Yeah, we played the portion where he dropped the name. I don't know if you didn't hear it.
So I missed that.
Yeah,
so Vince Namoli came to an owners meeting after that and said, "Hey, here's a lesson. Don't ever say that." And so that is what is taught, like in owners' meetings, the first time you get the handbook, like you never talk about.
The guy who tried to do this and didn't get away with it said, pro tip.
Don't do that.
The real question is, how do I let them know that I'm Michael Jordan's son without saying it?
You just give the ID and you hope that they make the connection.
If you have to say it, you're not famous enough to talk your way out.
Bang.
I think that is unfortunately the rule, David. I think Jess has articulated it well.
Earlier, I told you guys the story about how I got in by just
Oh no, we're winding back around to that.
There's a flip side to that coin, which was later that week, trying to get in somewhere, and the bouncer, I say, "Yeah, it's just me and my buddy," and he looks at me and he's like, "And you are?" And I said, "Come on, man."
Shot some finger guns at him.
Like, yeah, man. I'm on Sports Nation. I'm whatever. And he looks at me and he says,
"You started giving him an A block worthy take."
Oh, well, I'm just like, I just put out the chum so that he said, "Oh man, like, what do you think is gonna happen when?" And he looks me up and down and says, "I watch ESPN every single day of my life, and I ain't never seen your ass." And a bolt of lightning came from the sky and hit me. And everything just, and I was like, I started stuttering, and I knew I lost it right there. And I tried to be like,
I am.
And you turned around and walked away?
That's so uncomfortable.
Luckily, someone I knew was walking in like, he's good, but not.
That's good timing.
No, it's bad timing. I needed it before he said it loud in front of everybody. And I started stuttering and stumbling, and instantly all the mask of celebrity and cool that I had was gone.
Can you help me? Is this the Jordan who was with Scottie Pippen's ex-wife?
Okay, so
was he with Scottie Pippen? There's a
no,
woman.
So
in the video.
they've the saga.
That's gone?
So Marcus and Larsa Pippen were guests on my show. I was called in a headline in the New York Post, miserable by them for casting aspersions upon their relationship. So the reason people keep on getting in my mentions about this is because I am the foremost journalistic authority on Marcus, Jordan, and Larsa Pippen, who have since broken up. And so this
Who's
is
with someone else.
This is a thing. A woman who is not Larsa Pippen, definitively.
Do you know that for sure from the video?
Yes, I've examined the fuller tape. We had to cut that down. There's more. But I don't take a special pleasure in watching that video. I just think that he's checking every box on funny thing a vaguely notable person would do if their car was on a train track.
He said inebriated.
It's cartoon.
I'm not supposed to say that
If
word.
I may, I think generally this makes me sad. However, it does remind me of the best Reno 911 clip of all time, which is the drunk DUI stop where the officer and the drunk guy are doing a dance routine, and then at the end he says that he's drunk. It's so
But
good.
he gets him as like.
She's like, "Are you a dancer?" And he's like, "No, I'm just drunk." And she's like,
Jess, that video, I knew Twitter X was cooked when I saw videos about police misconduct, like highlight montages, include that clip.
Come on.
No, please stop.
Absolutely. This has been recirculated as actual body cam footage in lots. And again, am I revealing that I also click on those montages? Perhaps.
But then you get more of them, according to the algorithm.
Look, we're not our clicks.
You are.
We are not. This is a belief. This is a take I have. We are not our clicks.
Really? Say that again.
I am.
We are not our clicks.
Yes. You hear that, Zach Harper?
Our true preferences are not expressed by what we click on. We just happen to click on them sometimes.
Well, the algorithm's not like, ooh, you must really love and agree with this. The algorithm's like, ooh, here's him spending more time on this type of content. I'm just going to keep feeding it to him, spoon feeding it over and over and over.
I am being preyed upon like an animal being picked apart by a vulture, by the algorithms.
Turkey vulture.
By the way, I want to find out what Ron Magill's For You page is like, and I want to get him on the phone to talk about these vultures after the break.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
So Domonique has been texting me topics that I should ask as the host of a sports show. Topics that involve the Luka Doncic trade, LeBron James, how difficult it is to make trades when you have a reputation for being bad at making trades. And to that I say, welcome, Ron Magill.
Ron, I have no answers for any of those questions, brother.
Well, we have you on for a far more important reason. It's me, Amin, David Samson, Jess, Jeremy, and Chris.
What is David doing?
They brought in the All-Stars.
That's right. In no way is this a backup, second string, substitute teacher scenario. This is definitely the first stringers.
There you go.
Ron, where are you right now?
In a temporary office situation that we have here. We had a little bit of mold and asbestos in our administration building, so they had to mitigate the situation, so to speak. So we were exiled, and thankfully the Zoo Miami Foundation has been very generous and put me here in a corner of the building where sometimes it gets a little loud, but it's a nice alternative. Let's leave it at that.
And for those of you who are not watching on the Dan Le Batard and Friends Network, Ron does not have enough wall space. It is quite clear from the shot that there are pieces of art that are strewn on the floor, leaning against curtains, which you shouldn't do with art, maybe against a fireplace, Ron. I'm very concerned.
Thank you, David, for throwing me under the bus. Listen, I'm very appreciative that I at least have this room. I could have been outside on the grass under the rain, so I'm happy.
Ron also looks like somebody who has just thrown Amin El-Hassan out of the club.
No, he doesn't.
No.
Way too tall.
I had a breakfast that I attended with the mayor this morning. So.
Whoa!
No, it wasn't just me and the mayor. It was me and a lot of people and the mayor. But it was just one of those breakfasts. You know, I try to be respectful when I attend those power breakfasts, so to speak.
Billy Corbin there too? No? Okay.
Ron, I feel like respect would have been one more button higher to the chain. Maybe just
Ron
one
looks
more.
great.
I'm saying the mayor. The mayor. For senator,
No,
you
I
wear
want
a
the
tie.
chain. You just made Ron McGill cover up the chain.
No, he's not with the mayor anymore. He's with us. That's
You should
why
be
it was down.
unbuttoning buttons.
I
with
agree.
us.
That's how to look when you're doing Dan's show.
Ron, we summoned you for an actual pressing concern, which is that Amin Elhassan and I stay at this lovely building, the Elsewhere Hotel. We stay near the top floors in the 40s, and we have.
I know what it is already.
We've encountered some vultures.
That's right.
Can
That's
you
right.
explain what we've been encountering, please?
Yep, that's the official start of really winter in South Florida, and that's telling you how late it's coming. Generally speaking, it was always judged by the turkey vultures that come to the courthouse. These vultures all come down here for the winter. They're coming up from up north. They migrate down, and they look for high buildings to perch on. There was a big issue at the courthouse for a long time because they, released a lot of fecal excrement that kind of stained the windows and made the courthouse look like a snow-covered mountain there for a little while. But this is a cyclical thing that happens every year in South Florida. Originally, like I said, was the label of the start of winter in Florida is when you see all these vultures. People who go down to, for instance, Everglades National Park, there's a huge problem. What the hell is Samson doing? Picking his teeth?
I know, it's really not great.
Jesus Christmas.
What do you... That's a video issue.
Talk about my cluttered office, and you're picking huge crap out of your teeth in front of me.
That's an outrage, whatever just happened. I'm
Anyway,
sorry, Ron.
Back to the vultures. They will go down, for instance, if you go to Everglades National Park during the winter and you park your car, let's say, down at Anhinga Trail, you'll see a bunch of tarps that the National Park Service provides for you to cover your car. Please use them because the vultures down there will literally strip your windshield wipers off and then strip the rubber seal all around your windshield and windows on the vehicle. Nobody knows why they do it. It seems like it's part of practice for them, kind of like stripping hard skin off of dead animals to start their feeding, but it's a big problem that the National Park Service has been facing now for several years. So these vultures, they become quite bold. They can be a little bit destructive, though they play a very important role. Let's face the facts. They take away these decaying dead animals that can spread a lot of disease. They have a couple of gross habits. I mean, one of the grossest habits that vultures have is to cool themselves off. They literally poop all over their legs. So then they crap on their legs, and that, as it evaporates, it cools them off. That's part of the way to cool them off. Another really kind of unfortunate habit that they have is if you corner them, instead of trying to peck you, what they do is they projectile vomit to you, like an exorcist type thing where it just comes out.
Smart.
And, vomit by itself is already bad, but vomit of decaying dead animals that they have been eating, that'll make you an instant gag reflex.
Their stomach acid is a little stronger than ours, right? Because they eat so many, things that have been decaying and dead, right?
They have a lot of natural tolerance, natural resistance to all the bacteria and infective elements that are found in dead and decaying animals. So, but they pay a very important service to us. I mean, I don't want to go out there and have to pick up that raccoon off the road. If the vulture's going to eat it, it's a win-win.
But you have to be dead or decaying, or is there a risk if I go on the balcony that the vulture will just take me?
No, it'll never take you, David. They don't want anything to do with anybody live. They will fly away. You won't be able to even get close to them. They're up on that balcony on the top floors there because that's where they're safe from any predators on the ground, cats, dogs, or anything like that. So that's a natural instinct. Plus, also, they really don't fly well until they get the thermals.
Yeah, they're gliding, Ron. I see them glide.
That's right. They glide. As a matter of fact, just recently, something happened that is a phenomenon that doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened in the past, where they just rescued like 40 vultures out of the ocean, out of the bay, because they were flying and using the thermals, and then there was a big temperature change. All of a sudden came in the front, the thermal disappeared, and all the vultures literally plummeted to the ocean. And once they hit the water, they couldn't get out of the water again. Several of them drowned, several of them were saved. But this is a phenomenon that happens rarely, but it is an incredible phenomenon when all of a sudden all these vultures just fall out of the sky.
Ron, what do you think? You're a man of science. I remember you with the Eagles. You had a camera up there to capture all the important things that we could learn. What do you think about us putting a camera outside of Pablo's balcony, putting a little chum out there, and just seeing what happens, seeing if they'll come and bite?
Well, the fact of the matter is it's illegal to purposely feed wild animals.
Well,
so that would not be a legal thing for you to do, to bait vultures with something out there.
There you go.
Now, hypothetically, purely hypothetically,
I just forgot the raw meat
if a raccoon happened to die on the 36th floor of wherever you're staying and was on the ledge, heck, I think putting your camera there would be cool as heck.
I just left this raw meat out on the balcony. I forgot it out there.
But hold on. There's a lot that I'm processing here. So the vulture, just to get back to where they came from and why they're here. So these turkey vultures, the fact that they're turkey vultures, is that right? Am I saying it or no?
They're turkey vultures. There's also
beef
the black-headed vultures too. There's two species that we find down here: the black-headed vultures and the turkey vultures.
Okay.
Initially it was just turkey vultures, but now we're seeing a lot more of the black-headed vultures. And where you see them most is if you drive down the turnpike and you drive some of these landfills, the dumps, you'll see them like by the hundreds flying over the dumps looking for food.
Right. So let's just say hypothetically, if we were to put some garbage and raccoon carcasses on our balcony, if we were, in fact, can we bring Ethan in here?
Ethan, get in here.
I want to just run an experiment.
What is the filet mignon of these trash mountains for them? Like, what do they find where they're like, this doesn't nothing beats this?
Great question.
Oh man, I guess people who throw out rotten food from their refrigerator, that spoiled. That's the ultimate buffet for these vultures. The worse it smells, the more rotten it smells, the more delicious it is for them. And also, understand when meat rots, it becomes much more tender, so it's easy for them to eat.
Ron, I've never imagined birds having a sense of smell. Where do these, where are the olfactory?
Oh, if you look at a vulture's bill, you'll see they have a very large nasal opening that actually can go all the way through. So their sense of smell is phenomenal. Having said that, they also depend on each other, because once a vulture has pretty decent eyesight, they see a bunch of vultures circling over a certain area. They go, hey, something happened over there. We got to get over there. So that's when you see them all start congregating and circling.
Yes, like a crowd outside of a club during Super Bowl week, the vultures have been circling my balcony. And on that balcony, I would like to put David Samson and Ethan, who's here. Say hi, Ethan.
David, stand up next to him for context.
So
look
Ron,
at those nasal openings, guys.
Yeah, look at those things.
So between the two of them, if we were to slather both of them in maybe meat juice or raccoon carcass, who would the vulture be more likely to take away?
David's on his tippy toes.
Listen, I'm gonna go not with David, but what's Ethan? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Ethan.
I'm gonna go with Ethan. He's got less facial hair. There's less obstruction to go through. Ethan kind of looks a little bit like a young David Cassidy. Doesn't he?
Young David.
Ron called you a young David Cassidy.
I think he does. A little bit like a young David Cassidy.
Ron,
Ron, stop.
He has no idea who
Ron,
David Cassidy is.
He didn't know who David Cassidy was.
Okay, yeah, I figured he's too young, but he looks like
it's a compliment. That's a hell of a compliment.
David Cassidy,
David Cassidy's a good-looking guy.
He did just have a birthday yesterday.
He was a good-looking guy.
Happy birthday, Ethan, by the way.
Oh, I thought you meant David Cassidy.
He's not that young anymore. Am I right?
Ron, I got a question for you. You often talk about how animals, when they're around places with humans, they begin to learn certain habits, like, oh, this is where we can find food because the humans leave them here.
Come on. Excuse me, but look at that picture. Doesn't that look a little bit like him?
Not really.
I see it. No, I see it. Ron has
eyes. It's in the eyes.
Cheekbones. Yeah. It's in the cheekbones.
I was going to say smile.
Them cheeks.
Those pukas were so big.
I had those pukas. I had those very same pukas, man.
So Ron, the animals pick up on like human behavior activity and adjust accordingly to their lifestyle. Why is it birds keep flying into windows? Don't they ever learn? Aren't there any rumors through the bird world? Like, hey guys,
you hear what happened to Steve?
Yeah.
Understand they're flying into windows because they don't realize the window's there. What they're seeing is a reflection of the habitat behind them. So they just think it's continuing. And they think it's another bird in front of them until it gets too close where they can't stop.
There's another bird here, but I'm not stopping.
I'm catching up to him. It's over. Okay.
And in the vulture's defense, Mina Kimes walked into a glass door at Dan's wedding. For similar reasons.
That's a good point, man. That is a good point. That's a good point. But the bottom line is, the window situation is because the window is reflecting the sky behind them, and they think the sky is continuing, and it's not until it's too late, and that's why they hit the windows.
But we should be glad that the vultures are here, is what you're saying. We should be embracing them as much as they might projectile vomit the remains of,
They would
roadkill.
only do that if you tried to grab it, if you tried to bother it. It's a matter of self-defense. They don't do it like, oh, this is my everyday thing. Let me just projectile vomit on your car for no reason at all. No, that's not what they do. Vultures are actually pretty clean animals, believe it or not. And the role that they play is so important, man. I cannot tell you, the diseases they prevent from spreading just by what they do.
Ron, I've been waiting for this moment, and I'm going to ask you the most important question because it's a Bubameister, I think. The white that we see on the balcony from the vultures or bird poop that gets in your hair or on your clothes, I thought it was urine, not poop.
You're right. It's uric acid. It's the bird's form of urine. The white is the uric acid. Birds don't produce a fluid urine. Same with reptiles. You know, if you see an iguana poop, you'll see this big clump of brown, which is the fecal material, and it's surrounded by some white spots. That's the uric acid material. So that's the urine phase of things like birds and reptiles. So you're very smart in that.
So when people
but
say,
you gotta
I
light
just
up the
had
guy's
bird
face.
shit.
I can't see Ethan's face. If you light up his face,
Take your hat off, Ethan.
and put it side by side.
Ethan, take the hat off.
Take the hat off. Come on, man. If you
Hey,
come on, man.
The nose.
There you go. He's got it all going on. That's David Cassidy.
Ron nailed this.
And usually Ethan has puka shells on. Today he doesn't, but usually he does.
And he's got the hair thing going for him too. He could feather that hair out.
Special dude out there. Special
Ethan,
dude.
brother. Let me tell you, back in his day, David Cassidy was.
There was no one bigger.
He could hit big.
Look how cute Ethan is. You know, I'm hitting this thing for him.
Happy birthday
Look at him.
to him. I don't care. Good luck.
That's the guy that edits our audio every day. Him and Jeremy.
Our handsome
Good job,
little
Ethan.
man.
Good job.
There you go.
A
Hey,
remarkable
I think
thing.
Stugotz and Dan should stay away for a while. You guys are pretty good.
Thank you.
You know
Love
what?
them.
Many such cases.
You're right.
Think about what Ron
For
just
us.
said.
That's a compliment. I mean, a compliment truly from
Ron Magill, of course. I'm super despondent that Ethan doesn't know who David Cassidy is because he doesn't understand the level of compliment.
Ron, David was telling us a 10-minute story about Alan Alda before. And now we've moved to David Cassidy. So thank you for actually.
Alan Alda is a legend. He's a freaking legend. The guy.
Wait, what was his nickname?
Hawkeye is a character
Hawkeye.
he played, not his nickname.
MASH.
What, do you not know this?
You had never heard of Hawkeye?
I've never seen MASH.
You've never
Oh my
watched
God.
MASH?
Have you heard of the book The Last of the Mohicans?
I have.
The character name in the book?
I'm gonna guess it's Hawkeye.
I'm going to guess you haven't read it. It's all good.
Okay.
We're all good here. There's nothing to
Have
see
you
here,
seen
Mr.
the movie at least?
There's a movie.
Oh, I can't even. Suicide is Painless.
Well, that's a
TV
MASH,
show.
But I was singing the Last of the Mohicans. Is what
Oh,
Well, you guys are
Daniel
killing it.
Day-Lewis.
You guys are killing it.
Ron, we appreciate it. We were
Not
gonna
only are
try-
we killing it, we are then going to pick the bones of the things we have killed and continue to
There you go.
spray our
Into the
uric
vulture.
acid all over everything.
I thought his name was Bruce.
Mm.
Bruce Cassidy?
No.
Nope.
D-Lo,
It's
Butch-
David.
are you
There's
like
also
Butch
a
Cassidy?
Sean Cassidy who played
That's
the
right.
Hardy Boy. He was
That's right.
handsome
Huh.
too. Very
And
handsome.
it was rumored that David Cassidy had a little thing going with Shirley Jones on the Partridge Family.
Oh, his middle name is Bruce. How come I knew his middle name and not his first name?
Notably different from Bill Cassidy, who did cast the deciding vote to approve as the director of Health and Human Services, a guy who also loves roadkill as much as vultures. That was yesterday.
It's a day old news. Sorry, Ron. But thank you. Keep doing the work of God. We need it.
Ron, thank you so
Hey.
much, as always.
It's always a pleasure, guys and gals. Take care.
That's right.
Just one guy.
Still just gal.
By the way, wrong S, but we're all good.
Did you guys catch Ron say Winders? He turned into a prospector there for a second. You got to get him away from the Winders. And I was like, oh.
He knows everything about everything.
He's the best. I said that
It's
3 times during that. And
unbelievable.
there's nothing we can throw at him.
You
that he
can
isn't ready
throw
for.
him an alley-oop that's 50 feet in the sky and he will dunk it.
Because he's so tall or because he knows so much?
Both.
He's that kind of presence. He looked a little like Scarface, though, today. He doesn't usually dress that
I love
way.
that look. Great look.
I want Ron to dress like that all of the time.
I
With
feel
the,
like
with the white suit and the
the
sling-
chain.
I like how he was like, I was meeting the mayor. And it's like, of course, this is what the mayor of Miami should be met like.
Isn't there a hierarchy of who you're going to meet with and how you dress? If he were with the senator, I would think that he'd go button up and maybe in a tie. If you go meet the president, you definitely wear a cravat. And if you meet like someone just in the city council, you can do a collared shirt with no jacket. I think that there's a hierarchy for dress code with who you're meeting.
What is the lowest rank of person that would make you wear a tie?
So I don't wear ties anymore. So I don't wear them to funerals.
Just
I
a
don't wear
life
them
rule?
to weddings. Yeah, I do not wear ties.
This is also a post-divorce.
No, it's post Wall Street and post. I moved to Florida and I changed the dress code with the Marlins.
Really?
I made everyone go and wear ties every day.
Ugh.
And someone said to me, "You're gonna live here."
Someone said to you, ugh.
Yeah, close.
You had to have immediately become the most hated person in the entire organization.
Logan Morrison was like, "That's bullshit."
I wanted there to be a level of professionalism with all of our employees. And they said in Florida, here's the problem. And I was coming from Montreal and New York. They said, your first summer, it's not going to last for a week with you wearing a tie. And I didn't know. I'd never been here during the summer. and I changed the dress code summer #1.
Well, David, let me ask you something. Was this universal, like baseball ops, everybody, or just
everybody? You're in the office.
Imagine if Dan made us wear a suit and tie every day to the office here.
David also mandated that fans wear suit and tie. That's why no one showed up.
Would you call that standard in baseball, or was that you? That was you putting your own little twist on it?
That was me trying to bring Wall Street to baseball.
That was you cosplaying as the New York Yankees.
No, but the Yankees don't.
No,
because,
it was not.
Because
actually, I mean, I like where you're trying to be funny, but no, it wasn't that.
Most sports franchises, the guys, at least in ops, maybe the other like marketing, whatever, but like for ops, everyone's wearing like team issued sweats or like the polo or whatever. Like that's what we wore every day.
Collared shirts. Standard issue. Dude, were you forced to pay for your collared shirts?
Hell no, man.
They gave them to you free?
The first day of training camp. Like you go down there, the equipment manager hands you this suitcase, like the duffel bag, the team issue duffel bag.
Of swag?
And it's just there. Because
yikes.
Because back then it was Adidas. Adidas was just sending us stuff. So it's like, okay, you get this. We got shoes. The shoes weren't cool shoes, but they were shoes. Like now they're Nike. And they're getting Tech Fleece, and they're getting Air Maxes, and I'm like, oh, you guys get a great deal. I used to get these ugly Adidas sneakers that I would never wear other than working out.
If we gave you free Le Batard merch from LeBatardAF.com, would you wear it every day on the show?
Absolutely.
If we had the uniform, that it would be Le Batard, different merch from the merch store.
Maybe like 12% of my wardrobe as far as T-shirts and stuff is stuff that I bought. It's all free stuff. It's all
12%, huh?
No, but I'm asking for this show.
Yeah, if you gave
would you wear if we had a dress
code?
Would
the shirts be made by Robert Graham?
No, they'd be available on LeBatardAF.com, Pablo. But I'm asking.
I liked having a uniform, but it has to be comfortable.
No, but you get to choose. You'd get to choose. It would be issued by the company, and you would get to choose anything on the website, and you'd have
It's a little casual. I feel like I'm also the only person here that actually dresses nice.
I was gonna say, yep, sign me up.
I'm offended by that.
And Jer Bear wears the occasional nice cardigan. I will give him credit for that.
Today's
Cardigans and button-downs.
Today's going with the Dan look.
Yeah, just got a T-shirt.
I'd like to think about that because I'd like to do more promotion, not just during the video breaks. I'd like us to wear what we want our audience to
For
wear.
sure. If I got free merch, I would wear the free. This is free. I'm wearing free merch right now, not from Le Batard, but I'm wearing merch. I wear. And look, where's my camera? If you have a business and you want to promote it, just send me merch. I'll wear it. Now, make sure it doesn't look ugly, but like if it looks good.
You hear that, Viore?
Yeah, here you go. I'll wear it. I'll wear anything.
I mean, for what it's worth, David, I asked you once for a free shirt of my own with my own face on it, and your response to that was no, and the only reason we have it is because of Dan, not your face, so you don't get anything for free.
Yes.
And I was trying to do what it is that you're asking right now.
No,
so.
I agree, but as we're looking toward the future, we're trying to think of new things, new ways to promote what we're doing. And I agree that I said that to you, and I don't want to apologize. I want to say that I've evolved.
All right.
And I'm looking at...
You've evolved into
apology.
Evolution
I'm
accepted.
sorry.
So, Jeremy, this is his version of getting rid of the tie.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Wait. I'm not sorry. The past version of me that I no longer am is sorry. But me, David Samson, have evolved.
That is what he said.
That past version doesn't apologize either, though.
I'm
But
not...
you know what? Credit for evolving because some people don't
trying
evolve.
to evolve.
I'm
I'm
pro
trying to be better.
evolution.
I appreciate it.
Listen, and I'm not perfect. I was not perfect in my last life. I'm not perfect right now in what I'm doing. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to help the company.
You're trying to make us dress like a breakdancing squad. Like, why are we all wearing the same stuff?
Have you ever been to an NBA game? Have you looked at the bench of an NBA game recently?
I don't want to wear the same thing Dan Le Batard's wearing.
Let me tell you right now.
Or Chris Cody.
I love what's happened. There's some people.
There's 12 guys wearing the same exact thing.
I love it. There are people complain like, I missed the days of it. No, because the coach who makes $7 million a year and has a deal with the local tailor.
And copyrighted three-peat.
He gets to wear the nice stuff, and then everybody else has to scrounge up whatever they got from
and
Men's
be Doug
Warehouse.
Moe.
Yeah. Hell no, man. I like nice
You know what I mean?
clean.
By that explanation, like you and Dan should be dressing the nicest of all of us. You're our executives that make the most money.
Our money.
I don't feel I don't. I dress nicely for every show when I'm in New York. I wear a blazer and shirt for every nothing
And
personal.
shorts.
And for every Le Batard.
Cargo shorts and sandals.
You do see what I am every Wednesday. I'm in a blazer.
Thong sandals.
What are they?
Sandals.
They're thongs. I call them thongs.
I wish you wouldn't.
Thongs to the memories.
That's the name
I
of the
guess
shoes.
we are wearing the same thing to work.
And now I need a David parody of thong, 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 thong. It's like
Oh, Jeremy, get on it.
Not that one.
Why not?
But it's about sandals.
All right. Let me get to work.
Speaking,
drawing the line.
Jeremy, here's the word for you: sandalous. Go.
That's so sandalous.
Yeah, see?
Oh, Dominique's texting me that I need to take control of the show again. Can we bring it back to this Nico Harrison thing for a second? Because we're talking about what we're supposed to call things. And I feel like, on the internet, people have misinterpreted something that was reported by Ethan Strauss at ESPN in the most clicked article on ESPN.com at the time.
Is this the Nike Steph Curry presentation?
Yes.
What is the truth here?
So people online have been saying that Nico Harrison called Steph Seth.
He did not.
And that's not what the story is.
No.
Amin, can you help clarify what the actual story is? Because it's one of the great stories in sports business that now comes back because Nico Harrison is the aforementioned formerly anonymous guy who is now a thing that everybody has an opinion on.
Right. So, first of all, this is the most read article in the history of ESPN. More than Deflategate, more than Tiger Woods crashing his car on Thanksgiving, more than any of those things. This was the most read article in the history of ESPN.com. Ethan Strauss wrote it, and it's
2016.
In 2016, it's the example I bring up when I say the difference between news and transactions. If you tell me, Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers, and I didn't get a newsbreaker, Shams doesn't report it, I don't see it on SportsCenter, and there's no press release, and the agent doesn't say anything, and the player doesn't go into social media, how would I know that it happened? When I turn on a Laker game, it's like, hey, what's Luka Doncic doing there? That's how I know. So it's not news. I was going to find out one way or another. To me, news is stuff that we never were going to find out. Well, we found out that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, hey, they actually hate each other, right? Because of the great reporting of Seth Wickersham. That's news, right?
Right. There is something to the idea of when news is breaking, it'd be nice if it was breaking out of a thing that wanted to keep it contained.
Exactly. Stuff that were it not for the work of these intrepid journalists, we would never know. So Steph Curry goes from Nike to Under Armour, and everyone says, oh, that happens all the time. Upstart company comes in, bunch of money, stock options, whatever, and guys make the switch. But then Ethan wrote about how that came about. And it's a long story. It starts with Kent Bazemore, of all people, who's a virtual unknown NBA player.
But a friend of Steph Curry's.
A friend of Steph Curry.
And an Under Armour client.
Yes, and he's the one that led the recruiting pretty much to bring him over. But the nail in the coffin was when Nike was presenting its kind of, hey, this is our vision for your sneaker and your brand.
Yeah, Nike had to argue that Steph should stay with Nike.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in August, the second floor of the Oakland Marriott.
Yep.
Beneath the practice facility of Golden State. And notably missing were the people who actually had power at Nike. So this guy, Lynn Merritt, who was a shadow, not even shadow, he's just known as the guy.
He's a power broker within Nike, right? Like, so David, you would know, right? If you walk into what you perceive to be a big meeting, and then you walk in and it's like, these are all subordinates. These aren't the big dogs.
You can't meet with non-decision makers.
It's
a big mistake that people make. If you have a decision maker against a non-decision maker, you have a waste of time.
So the person who was there running the meeting instead of Lynn Merritt, who was famed for being a power broker, a LeBron James advisor at the time, happens to have been Nico Harrison, who was a sports marketing director. That was his title. Not like Grand Poobah, but sports marketing director.
And I'll give Nico some grace here. It's not like he was like the intern or entry level.
No.
At this point, he's pretty elite within Nike. He's Kobe Bryant's rep. He's Anthony Davis. Like a lot of the big name guys.
He's not a schlepper.
Yeah, he's not a schlepper.
And he would go on to be the VP of North America basketball ops for Nike, but he was not the number one guy.
He was not the number one guy. He was not the VP at the time. But also, I just want to make sure he was not like the entry level guy.
He wasn't the intern.
Yeah.
It wasn't Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
And
but
so,
anyway, keep going.
And so the meeting begins, Amin.
And he mispronounced his name.
Yeah, so
that's what it was.
So the thing, again, Nico is running the meeting, but the reporting is, and this is according to one of the unafraid people who ended up being a source for Ethan, a meaningful source who was in the room, Del Curry, Steph's dad, who said that one Nike official accidentally addressed Steph as Stephen Curry.
Yep.
Stephen Curry. Not his actual name, but the mispronunciation. So the meeting begins with them mispronouncing the name of the person they are recruiting. Not great.
It's not going to end well.
That's the part where I couldn't remember, but I don't think Nico was the guy that mispronounced it.
He's not credited as the guy who accidentally addressed him as such.
But people have taken that story out of context and turned it into Nico Harrison.
Which people now?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Why are we telling this now?
Because
8 years
it's
later.
become,
9
because
years.
of Nico Harrison being the guy who was, again, credited and discredited with the Luka Doncic trade, erasing the owners of the team, incidentally. He's credited as the guy who called Steph Seth. But the funnier part of the
Maybe
meeting...
Seth was there.
That's irrelevant to what we're doing.
Going.
The funnier part of the meeting, though, David, which I think you might appreciate, is that this meeting that was, again, run by Nico Harrison, right? So what does he get discredited for here? Maybe it's the fact that the meeting has a PowerPoint presentation, and the PowerPoint presentation is clearly for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
His name is left on there by accident because they're repurposing a thing for someone that they actually cared more about, for this guy that they're basically doing the theater of caring about. And that is an incredible thing.
I've seen that a million times. Have you guys not? When you're in sales, I got resumes sent to me many times saying it is really be my honor to work for the Rangers.
Red Sox?
Because it's someone who forgot
I've gotten resumes like that too. I was working at SB Nation. It was like, I'd love to join Bleacher Report, and we immediately threw them out.
Immediately. Any spelling mistake? Put a P in my name.
Or there
throw
was
it
one
out.
that was like, "Dear Sirs," and I was like,
out.
I once threw one out. Well, actually, I didn't throw it out. I almost framed it. I kept it in my desk. But he said his opening line was, I'll never forget this. I am writing to you on the advice of Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. And I said, I've never spoken to either of these guys in my life. You're telling me the things. You're going
to reach out to Amin.
Reach out to Amin Hassan. He's the guy. I'm like, get the. But then I was like, I threw it away. Then I was like, no, I'm keeping this one because it was just so ridiculous. Who knew 10 years later I'd be on speaking terms with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra? Yeah. Joke's on me, I guess.
No, the joke's on him for calling you 10 years too early and not getting a job. The reason why he went to Under Armour has nothing to do with Kevin Durant, has the misname or the mispronunciation or the fact that it was Nico instead of, Phil Knight. Yeah. It's simply what Under Armour was doing back then is they were doing irresponsible deals. And startup companies, And One did this a bunch of times. There's a bunch of companies.
Oh, And One. Oh, speaking of merch I'd love
reference?
to wear. No, it's just old enough to be in my sweet spot.
But David, yes, except that one was the one that was the right deal. Like, you're right, but that one, like a broken clock.
It turns out.
They hit perfectly on that one. And you know who else hit perfectly on that one? Kent Bazemore, who's rich beyond everyone's wildest dreams now because of he had Under Armour stock.
Yes, because Steph Curry and that shoe became, if not next to Kyrie Irving's shoe, the most popular shoe among young people.
It was the number one selling basketball sneaker, like for the first.
It was a sensation.
For Under Armour.
Yes.
No. The top selling basketball sneaker,
including Air Jordan,
including Jordans, because it was all these youth teams. Under Armour was sponsored.
Oh, this was, again, going back to the idea of dynasties and villainy. This was the Warriors at their heyday.
Wrists hit right at the peak. And then the Steph Curry 2s came out, and that's where it kind of...
I know.
Right, their stock was doing really well in the mid-2010s, but it's not doing so hot anymore.
So that, to me, is what I wanted to mention, is that you can get all the players and get all the excitement and have the great press conferences, but if you speak to Kevin Plank or others who own Under Armour stock, they're despondent beyond repair.
Well, yeah, if you look at the curve, 2021 peak, and then it's been... a lot of valley.
And that's 4 years later, and the market has been going up until the tariffs, and till the tariffs started and then disappeared and the market rebounded, which is ripe for insider information. But
I've been thinking the same thing. I'm
God,
like, man,
don't
this
kid
is
yourself.
I can't even.
You got to buy the dips when they dip because of something Trump does. You buy that dip, buy because he's just making it up
Except
as he goes
if this
along.
is finally it.
No,
this is
but
not
you
legal
can't.
advice.
This is not investment advice, obviously, but. Jessica, you can't think that when you're doing something that this is
I'm not playing the
it.
market daily like that.
To
David,
quote an And One shirt, grab a notebook, you're about to be schooled.
Whoa!
That's very good.
Speaking of signature shoes, though, Asia Wilson's signature shoe is coming out in May, and it looks phenomenal.
Can I say?
Sure.
Did Nike drop the ball?
On what?
On waiting?
A May release?
Like it should be out now?
All-Star Weekend.
The shoe does look good, if we can show that.
I think the league, like the first game, though, is May, so it's going to be right when the WNBA
the start of the WNBA
starts.
season. All-Star Weekend of what? The NBA?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's based on the WNBA season.
But I know, but it's a high-profile kind of marketing ball. It's like
her,
the Super Bowl.
Her jersey was just retired this past weekend, too.
Yeah.
So there's, it doesn't really matter when they launch.
Regardless
it,
of
I
what
feel like there's a
season-
lot of hype around the shoe.
Regardless of what season we're talking about, WNBA, NBA, you should get Game Time.
Oh.
Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. What time is it, Jeremy?
Game time?
Thank you, David.
I feel like it'll be really cool when she
Proud of
walks
you.
out on the court for like the Aces' first game in the shoe, and then it goes on sale. And all the other stuff that they're releasing with it, I want all of it.
Is the BAM stuff because of the shoe?
What
Am
do you
I
mean?
mixing stories?
Okay, so her jersey was retired at South Carolina this past weekend, and that's where the video was of her talking about BAM that some are calling a hard launch. But
It's a hard launch. Let's listen to
I
this.
disagree,
Let's
but
see
we'll
it.
listen.
Good EPing.
Tell for ourselves.
I wouldn't be who I am today without the love, support, and sacrifices of so many people. And what a blessing to have those most special to me courtside today, especially my favorite Olympian from out of town.
Oh,
come
on.
It's
a little
the
shimmy
wait
shoulder,
a
Jimmy.
minute.
It's
She
the
Chris
shimmy.
Cody'd.
Hold on.
Asia Wilson, Chris Cody'd.
Jessica, if it were any harder of a launch, she'd be pregnant.
That's what I'm saying.
No, a hard launch is like you don't post anything on social media for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you post a picture and you're wearing an engagement ring. That's a hard launch.
That felt.
We already know that there's like obviously something going on with her and BAM. And the camera, whoever the camera person is, I know they didn't see this coming, but you gotta cut.
You gotta
you
cut
gotta
to
cut to
BAM.
BAM.
You gotta have
You
a
gotta
BAM
cut
cam,
to BAM.
a BAM cam the whole time.
BAM cam, thank you, ma'am. Absolutely.
So excuse me, they've been dating a long time. This was not news. The rumor had
well,
been out.
this is the whole thing, the degrees of launch.
Is she launching it coincidentally with the shoe and with the announcement of the shoe?
Well, that's what everyone's saying, that BAM needs to wear the shoe now.
This
right?
is what I was trying to ascertain. Because that would be a PR strategy, a business strategy to have the shoe announced, to have the relationship announced, to have BAM wear the shoe. It would be a...
They're just gonna keep doing stuff like this and like not let us see any canoodling. That's my point.
That's my thing
a
with the...
canoodle is a hard launch.
I agree. We have not seen them even... so yes, they've been in the same photograph together, but it's been sort of in that paparazzi way, which is a soft launch, if anything.
Were they holding hands?
That's
In
the
pairs.
thing. Were they holding hands, though?
Well, no, there was another.
Were they canoodling?
There was an event here. I think was it
The mayor.
Udonis or no?
I think it was the Dwayne Wade statue. Was it not? Where Asia
I thought
Wilson
it was something-
Yes,
attendance?
it was
She's also
statue related.
She has been also like courtside at several Heat
Dude,
games throughout the season.
Or was it medal related when they got their medals?
I think it was when they got their medals. Several is understating it. Like there was a point. I found out because I'm like, why is Asia Wilson at every Heat game? And then someone was like, "You idiot!" she's dating,
She is
she's
a big
dating
Duncan
Bam.
Robinson
Like,
fan.
Oh,
I think it was an Olympics related like Miami giving the key to the city thing.
They met in
It
the
was
village?
The key to the city.
no.
Did they meet in the Olympic
no,
Village?
it was before the
Yeah,
Olympics.
they were together before that.
Oh.
Or at least that's what
that a
the
report,
sleuths on the
Jeremy? Is
internet
that a
say.
Miami Heat report
No,
from you?
that is not an exclusive report
Wait,
from me.
yeah,
That
Jeremy,
is not what I'm saying.
you get the gossip on this.
I will
I'm
confirm.
not reporting that.
I will confirm to you. They were dating well before the Olympics.
I don't know what you're confirming because there was no report.
That's an Amin report, not a Jeremy
That's
report.
an Amin
for the record.
report.
That's an Amin report.
Dude, Heat played at the Suns in Phoenix. I'm taking my kid to go meet Jason Jackson. And then Asia Wilson was like, "Oh, take a picture of Asia Wilson." And I'm like, "Why is Asia Wilson here?" But I'm like, Vegas, Phoenix is close
sweet
enough."
summer child.
Dude, it took so many times. I felt like Dan finding out that John Amici was gay, right? Like, what do you mean? And it's like you're going to gay bars with them and stuff, and Dan still doesn't get it.
Do you say to your kid when you're bringing the kid to the game, cut? Like went to meet? Photo. Are you directing everything?
No, not for that. But I just said, "Oh, that's cool. You should get a picture of Asia Wilson."
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But we do when we're watching the games. Like, you see how he cut? See there, right there. We do that a lot.
I would draft Asia Wilson and Bam Adebayo's child right now.
That kid's not going to play basketball.
At the end of every show that I want to do this week, I want to give ourselves awards. We did this last summer. Domonique inaugurated it. Juju was around for some of it. Juju remembers this game. I hope you guys remember this game. Chris, do you remember how to play this game?
I do. I'm just trying to. I wish you would have said this before we started, so I could have started thinking what the awards were going to be.
Yeah, why'd you
So
say
I
like
want
you got a
to. I want to give an award to Chris Cody for being the best executive producer of the week.
Thank you. The only one, but
you don't have to point.
That's
that
not
out.
on the statue. You can just accept it. Who else wants to give an award?
I'd like to give an award to Jeremy for lasting the entire show without bringing up perhaps the juiciest Miami Heat rumor ever.
Oh, are we
Ever?
are we talking about?
It's not ever.
Thank you, Jess, for knowing how to play the game.
It's pretty juicy.
It's not ever.
I want to give an award to Dan Le Batard for picking maybe the worst week to not be in Miami based on the previously mentioned rumor, which we're not saying.
Just some rumors.
Dude, you know how, look, there's so much stuff that's happening that I can just imagine Dan disintegrating under the stress of not being able to talk about it. Forget about this juicy rumor that we're not going to address right now. Do you know that Dennis Schroeder said that it's kind of like slavery? He compared like players getting traded to slavery. And as soon as I saw that headline, I swear to God.
Hold on. I'd like to give Amin Hassan the award for guy who got fooled by a fake headline on the internet.
Was it?
good job, Amin. Congrats. Congrats.
Oh, I got sentled.
Yeah, you got fooled.
I'd like to give an award to American Airlines for having jets that go so fast we can hear them deep inside the Elser.
Are we sure those are jets? Juju, there have been sounds here in the air ducts that we're not sure what they are exactly. You have been spared that. Do you have an award you'd like to give us? Or yourself, honestly?
Nah, just an award for everybody being awesome. The Awesome Award. Everybody wins.
How about us?
That's a good one.
Morale.
I have an award for Pablo for starting the show with an interesting and new take on the Luka Doncic trade. That's not sarcasm. It was good job.
Good job. Go, Pablo.
It's been 3 days and we,
accept.
Juju.
I'd like to give an award for false corrections to Pablo Torre because this quote is according to NBC Sports Bay Area. It's a real quote. It's not Sentinel.
Good job, Pablo.
I'd like to give an award to the guy who got betrayed by the video team or whatever the fuck just happened by getting in my ear with wrong information.
Mally. Classic Mally. Clalley.
Wow.
Mally took a huge shit earlier.
Okay, back to what you were saying, because I saw that quote too, and I thought it was real, and I was really embarrassed for 10 seconds, and now I'm unembarrassed. But I also thought, Dan, if he were here,
Dude, at least an hour and a half, right?
Absolutely.
At least an hour. All I could think of is Dan calling Elise, his assistant, and saying, get me on a flight back. Maybe that's him right now.
I think he's still hungry. That's just his stomach again. Juju, do you have any experience? You've stayed at the Elser a bunch of times with the vultures flying around.
I've been blessed to not see vultures on the balcony. You feel me? They always do put me up on the 1,000th floor. That is a fact. And the balconies are this narrow. So David
narrow.
is right.
No room for a chair out there.
Oh, this reminds me of an award I would like to give Jess. Juju and I can co-present this to Jess for being the true person that a vulture would probably fly away with if they were picking one of us to actually.
Wow.
Although I am taller than 65 inches.
Oh.
By a lot?
Yeah. If you're 65 inches, then yes.
Hey, Juju, what did the crowd in the YouTube chat think of the show today?
Man, the crowd is always being the crowd, man. Salute to the audience, the wonderful audience. GPZBOY, sir?
Oh,
No,
keep
go ahead,
going.
go
I was
ahead.
just afraid of what GPZOY was about to say.
He says, a tucked-in polo shirt with shorts is wild. Please, someone tell Samson. And so consider this your notification.
Good award. The tucked in polo shirt is Wild award.
We need to give David an award. What award should we
I'm
give
not
him?
award worthy.
I'll give him an award for only making the show awkward like twice. Hey!
All right.
New personal best.
Great show.
I'd like to give David Samson the Best Beard Award on the show.
Oh, that's a good-looking beard,
Great
man.
beard.
Thank you. I mean, compared to Amin, I
show
feel like
up-
it's an easy one.
I show up every day. What's up? Consistency, that doesn't matter?
It's the whole lip and tooth and the way you have a few gray hairs scattered around. It's very tough for me to.
Salt and pepper's a good thing.
That's not salt and pepper.
It's a lot of pepper.
It's mostly pepper with like a kernel of salt.
Not delicious. El Lobo Malo says, Samson looks like the manager for the towel inventory at your local water park.
Oh, my God.
Salute.
This is a compliment. I don't want to appear stuffy to anybody.
I'm going to clap it up for that.
How many?
Thank
2,
you.
3? How many do you need?
No, I'm good now. But the reason I tuck in...
No, I meant towels.
No. Do you know why you tuck in your shirt, Juju? You never tuck in?
Yes, sir. I tuck my shirts in, especially when I'm in professional environments.
Right. This is a professional environment. You're tucked in,
This
Jessica.
shirt only comes tucked. It's a bodysuit. Takes a very long time for me to pee now.
No wonder the break was so long.
It was a good stream, too.
That was Mally.
Also, happy Black History Month. The NFL is reportedly removing the End Racism logo from the Super Bowl end zone after the White House announced that President Donald Trump will attend on Sunday.
Award to the NFL for solving racism.
Yes.
They
Yes, we
did
did it.
Now, the NFL denied it, just so we're keeping our facts straight. The NFL denied.
We'd like to
through
award the
their
NFL
spokesman.
the least plausible denial
It's so-
award.
It's unreal.
Good job, NFL.
They said, oh, no, it had nothing to do with Trump becoming the first ever sitting president to attend a Super Bowl game, which he is. And then all of a sudden, the End Racism gets removed, and the NFL said, no, this was always the plan.
Surely a coincidence.
I'd like to give David Samson the isn't understanding the game entirely because we just gave an award for that was implied.
Yeah, award.
I'd like to also give an award to Amin Hassan's family for understanding you can't take those files with you on the bus, so use them.
Good job.
5 seconds to go.
I mean, he's right.
Just dribble the ball. Let him dribble the ball out. We're done.
Juju, was Asia Wilson a hard launch? That was like a medium soft launch, right?
Right, and oh my goodness, those shoes are incredible. Salute to Asia Wilson for dropping those shoes. They're dropping this May, the pink Nikes. Oh man, I'm overwhelmed because I think that those shoes are gonna be just as popular as Sabrina Ionescu's shoes, which are worn all over the NBA right now.
Well, which are like the
Salute.
like the Sabrinas are the Kobe's, right? They got repackaged as the Sabrinas, basically.
Yeah, they awesome, bro. They fire.
Oh, this is Asia's. Yeah, this isn't the one that came out that she promoted yesterday. I was gonna say that's not the one that
the one that I saw. I was
Award
like,
for the
that's
video
fire.
team.
Good job, video.
Yeah, video
Yes,
team.
sir.
Second best shoe possible. Good job, guys. There's only 2 options, 50-50. Am I right?
They're tired.
Also, I'd like to award the Sambo Selly Award to Jaguars for hiring Tony Baselli as their new executive vice president.
Wow.
Good job, Jags.
I was worried about that award for like the first couple syllables, and then I went with it.
You heard the same thing I heard. That's it.
I think I'd like to award all of us the We Made It to the End of the Show award.
Yeah, how about us?
Hey, way to
Nice.
go, team.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
See you again tomorrow.
Kevin Durant!